You were talking about old age and blowing out your body. So what did you do? Shoulder surgery?
So yeah, no, a year and a half ago, I had back surgery. I had,
golly, is that from working out or?
well, I was doing a heavy single and deadlift. The doctor was very specific about the restrictions. And he said, like, you can royally screw this up if you don't listen to these restrictions.
How are Gen Z kids different from millennial kids?
For example, I remember being on campus when anxiety became the number one mental health issue over depression.
We have a God who is in love with us and who is infinitely happy and who has predestined us to share in that happiness. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. He gets to be our refuge.
And that's why I never want to have, like, Christianity be that narrative that it has to fit always, because Christianity is bigger, it's simpler, and also more complex.
Hey everybody, before we get into today's interview, I want to tell you about my brand new book. It's called Jesus, Our Refuge. If you, like many people, and like all of us to one degree or another, have been seeking refuge in things other than Jesus Christ and have just found yourself increasingly weary, then this book is for you. This book is about taking Jesus seriously when he says, "Come to me, you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." It's getting great reviews, and I know it will be a healing balm to your soul. Check it out, Jesus, Our Refuge. You can get it right now on Amazon. Thanks. Well, I feel like I have to begin by acknowledging this ridiculous drink that I have here, which I explicitly asked for a paper cup so people wouldn't...
Oh, so they wouldn't see the green. What is that?
It's matcha tea.
Matcha.
You ever heard of that?
Is that
It's green tea leaves that
Chilean?
I guess they ground up. No, it's from Japan. They ground them up and then so... I don't know. Somebody told me the caffeine hit you get is somehow mellower.
Okay. But it's still there.
Yeah, and it lasts longer.
So I've heard of it, but my little sister did have you heard of NOLS? The National Outdoor Leadership School.
No, I thought you meant Michael Knowles. Continue.
No, but it's the same spelling. NOLS.
Okay.
So I did it. I graduated college and did it's like a month. I did a month in the wilderness, and so the idea is you're getting trained to lead people into the wilderness. And I was like, yeah, someday I'd like to do that. Maybe like a John Paul II kind of thing. I just graduated college before I became a missionary in Central America and liked it. 30 days, it was great. My little sister, she did a whole semester where half the semester they sea kayaked off the coast of Chile. And then the other half of the semester, they hiked in Patagonia and mountaineered and all these kind of things. And they drank something. She called it, but it wasn't matcha, but it sounds like matcha. So if anyone...
knows what that is.
That's what that is. That's what do you think about that non sequitur?
Oh, no, it's good. How are you doing with coffee? We just
Coffee's
started.
Great.
You were talking about old age and blowing out your body. So what did you do? Shoulder surgery?
So yeah, no, a year and a half ago, I had back surgery. I had...
golly. Is that from working out? Or?
Well, I was doing a heavy single and deadlift. And it was a weight I had done before, and once before. And I just, went for it. And halfway up, I felt a little... And I was like, okay, my first thought was, oh, shoot. My second thought was, I should finish this lift because I need to lock it out because this might be the last time I ever get to lift heavy again. And my third thought was, okay, from now on, it is longevity over 1 rep maxes. And but that was the worst. For the next month, I had the worst pain in my entire life. I have so much compassion now for people who have back pain because... my thought was, oh, my back hurts. I'm like, okay, well, maybe lie down, and people would say that to me. Like, well, I heard that if you lie down, but your legs up kind of a thing, like there was no escaping. There was no escaping this pain that was shooting down my leg. There was no alleviating it. No matter how many Advil or whatever it was I took, it didn't do. And so then I'm so grateful too for medicine because, I have a sister who's an orthopedic surgeon. My dad was an orthopedic surgeon. I have a sister who's a PT. And so I'm texting them, almost middle of the night saying, what can I do? And they're like, just, we'll do your best. And, but in not the last minute, but after a whole month of trying to figure out what it was, they did an MRI and my sister hooked me up with one of her fellow residents who's a spine specialist and got me in. And it was like, we need to get you in now because there were some bigger things happening. And I remember sitting there in the pre-op room with my dad, who he had done hundreds of these surgeries on people. And he said, imagine if this happened 60 years ago and you were a manual laborer, what you would do. Because there's nothing you can do. There's no amount of massage or therapy or needling or anything like this. There's nothing you can do. A piece of the disc had broken off and was pressing against the nerve. And I thought, man, some people, that was their lives. That was their entire lives. I went under and woke up however long later, and it was gone. Like the pain was just gone. And it was one of those situations where I can't even think about it now. This is a year and a half ago. I can't even think about it now without being so overwhelmed with gratitude. Because even that week, the week before, that was a Friday. I remember I got hurt on Friday. That week, I thought, because my dad has some back issues, I thought, oh, Lord, thank you so much for, I have a healthy body. Like, thank you so much that my back is, strong. And then that Friday, like, oh, okay. And so that was, then kind of trying to recover from that, which is a whole nother story.
But I mean, surgery is not optimal unless you need it.
Yeah.
I mean, how was your recovery?
Well, that was the thing so I had this shoulder issue for years now. I'd gone into physical therapy and then it would hurt again. And so I had an MRI on the shoulder before the back. And my sister, the orthopedic surgeon, is like, you have to go in. I have a great surgeon. She'll take care of it, And I just I can't stop. I can't slow down. I can't do this. And so I put it off. But then when the back hurt, it was, oh, I need to do this. It wasn't an option. It was a necessity. And then it was, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to shift around this summer? So, because it was in May, so that I can take the next 10 weeks. Because it was pretty big. The doctor was very specific about the restrictions. And he said, like, you can royally screw this up if you don't listen to these restrictions, which are no bending, twisting, or lifting anything heavier than a gallon of milk for the next 6 weeks.
No way.
And so I was like, and he kind of challenged me, and I'm like, no, I'm on your side. Like, I'm on team. Let's not do this again. And so
did you get to have time off or?
No, I had to keep going. I had 1 week or so. Actually, it was fascinating. Fascinating to me, I guess. The surgery was on a Tuesday. And I had to give a talk at a local regional Eucharistic Congress that Saturday. And so I'm so grateful. The Ascension people, they were going to be there in Bemidji, Minnesota. But I'm like, I don't think I can do it. Like, I don't think I can make it there. That we can come to you. So they came to Duluth and set up a studio. We filmed the talk. And then I got to rest for the next 5 days. But then got to travel, and got to say, I'm sorry, I can't pick up this bag. Yeah. Could you help me put this out?
Was that difficult?
Not at all.
No, not asking people, but I mean, not being able to pick up anything heavier than a gallon of milk. Did you realize just how many things in existence were heavier than a gallon of milk?
I became can you help me, please? Can you help me, please? I mean, because there was the fear of like, oh no, I know what this pain was like. I'm going to do exactly what they tell me to do. Kind of out of, that fear. So it was, if anything remotely was that backpack. Yeah. That was, people were like, this is too heavy. I'm like, yeah, but if I keep it close to my body, it'll be fine. So that was where I kind of pushed the line, was the backpack.
So, okay, let's talk about working out, because working out is very good. I do weight training 3 times a week, but it's nothing like I used to do CrossFit.
Yeah, I remember.
But I am sort of afraid of doing what you did to your body.
Yeah.
And I'm always overly cautious. And the more I hear stories like that, the more I pat myself on the back for that fact.
It's super good.
So how have you dialed things back since then?
So that's been an interesting thing. I think, so as I mentioned, that was last summer with the back. And then in the fall, like the shoulder just like, again, kind of a pop at things.
Just during working out, you have to stop.
But the thing is, so I'd scaled back from doing all the things that hurt it. And I was doing something that never had hurt it in the past. I was like, this is fine. I can do this. And I was like, shoot. So it gone into PT again. I got an injection, didn't help at all. And so I was like, okay, we need to do this. So then we scheduled the surgery, again, right after the school year ended. And so I was able to, we had all those online masses and things. We kind of was able to kind of backlog them or uplog them. I don't know, pre-log them. And so I went in for the surgery. It was so interestingly, okay, so you mentioned.
You're unconscious for both surgeries.
Yes. So grateful for that as well.
Seriously. I want to ask the dentist to do that to me when she has to put a filling in.
The shoulder one was, the back was constant pain. And so waking up was a relief. The shoulder was, okay, waking up, and now I'm immobilized for the next 6 weeks and can't do anything with my right arm. And it's massive pain. Like comparatively, the back was, before surgery, was just excruciating. After surgery, amazing.
Yeah.
it was the opposite for the shoulder. Shoulder, I was like, even the day before, I was like, wait, why am I doing this surgery again? Because I was doing some movements and I'm like, this is fine. And then I did another. I'm like, okay, it's not fine. But afterwards, it was.
After the surgery, wish that maybe you had done more PT and not done the surgery?
No, I knew I needed it because they had some imaging of it where everything is torn inside there, so they needed to do it. And but it was good recovery.
So how do you work out now? Because obviously it's important to keep working out.
Yeah,
but come on.
They said the first 6 weeks are immobilize and protect. The second 6 weeks are range of motion, and then the next 6 weeks are you can start strengthening. So I'm in that third set of 6 weeks.
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
And you know what's scary is when you see part of your body atrophy.
Oh my gosh.
So I tore my MCL, like
Yeah.
I told you a couple of months ago, and I was getting some platelet injections.
Yeah.
That hurts a lot.
Does it really?
I mean,
'Cause I thought about it for the shoulder.
It hurt me.
Yeah.
So they take your blood, they put it in a centrifuge, spin it around, and it separates the blood from the
plates from the
platelets in the blood.
Yeah.
And then he did 5 injections in my knee.
Really?
And I was laying there and I said, could you please lie to me and tell me that this will be fine? He's like, yeah, you'll just experience some discomfort, all those lies.
Discomfort.
And the injection didn't hurt, but as he pushed something into a space that didn't need it, it felt like fire in my knee, and then my entire body began to sweat.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why my body thought that was necessary or how that was going to help me.
Yeah.
But it hurt a lot. Yeah. But anyway, why did I bring up my knee?
Atrophy.
Atrophy.
Yeah.
So he said I squeezed both my quads and I could see it. That's scary.
Oh, so with the back, my right vastus medialis, which is the kind of the quad on the inside of your leg, that way went numb. So the outside was on fire for a month and the inside went numb. I couldn't fire it at all. And so it's still a year later, still smaller. You can tell if I have shorts on, it's like, oh, hey, yeah, that little teardrop is a smaller teardrop than the other. But then my arm is just tiny. Really? I was like, and then my shoulder, the whole thing. And everyone's like, be patient. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not complaining. I'm just observing that it is so interesting how quickly, I mean, we're so fragile, it is remarkable. And I've been really grateful to be able to reflect on this, not in an abstract way, but in a concrete way of just even something like the healing of stitches. That I was thinking about this morning, actually. At one point, was it last fall, 2 falls ago? I had this like bump in the side of my head, and my sister was like, "Oh yeah, it's a cyst of some kind of sort." And I'm like, "Well, can you cut it out?" She's like, "Sure." So I laid down on my living room floor, and she put some things behind my head and cut me up and pulled it out and stitched me up. And I thought, okay, get a couple stitches, we're good. Now we're good to go. She's like, "Oh no, you can't exercise for like 6 weeks, 6 days, 10 days, something like this." And I was like, "What? Oh, really?" And it takes the reality, and this sounds so stupid to say, I don't have Wolverine's healing factor. Mm-hmm. It's just like, no, it's just like a normal human being. It takes a long time for those things to heal. And sometimes they don't ever heal. Yeah. Like, oh, wow, yeah, that's true. And there's something, a big blessing about, and I really mean it in the sense of I've been trying to look at it the right way and not complain. But the reality of how I think as we age, things need to start failing. Or I remain attached. And so there's this piece of there where for me, maybe it's just for me. I don't know. I think it's for the human race. I think I get so attached to, well, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what life is going to be like. I'll always feel this way. I'll always be able to see, like now, eyesight's failing, eyeballs, the earballs, everything's fading. There's something about that that's just like, okay.
Yeah, that is hard. It's not just you're being detached from bad habits, but being detached from things that you thought were good. Like, I want to be in shape.
Yeah.
I think I take kind of pride in being strong or what have you.
Yeah. Or even just take pleasure in it. There's something rewarding about.
Yeah.
So you're mentioning like working out, and realizing that it's really difficult. It's been kind of difficult. It's been a challenge. After the back, to come back and say, okay, how can what are my new goals that are interiorly or internally meaningful, challenging, and yet attainable in some ways, where it's like before, it's like, oh, just go. Apparently we're just getting stronger and stronger. And then it's like, oh, maybe we're not. And so it's been a decent learning experience of, I'd say I'm probably the least healthy I've ever been. Even though I work out, 5 to 6 times a week.
Still?
Yeah.
Come on.
But
you
weird.
work at a university campus,
Yes.
the name of which is?
The University of Minnesota Duluth.
How long have you been there?
It's my 21st year.
All right, so here's the question I wanted to ask you. How are Gen Z kids different? And this is how I know I'm old. Speaking of old age, I look at university kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shouldn't do that, but that's what I call them. How are Gen Z kids different from millennial kids?
Well, it's interesting. 21 years ago when I got this assignment to both be the director of youth ministry in the diocese and then chaplain at the university, for some reason, I don't know if someone told me or I just was moved to, I never call them kids, not even the middle schoolers. I might say the students, the campers, the retreatants, we put on retreats and whatever, or the youth. But I'll never say kids. I don't know. It seems...
Well, it's patronizing.
It seems like
yeah.
it. But I know what you're saying, because, it makes sense for someone not in my role.
Right.
To say. So what are they like? They are very much, I don't know.
Have you noticed different struggles, or is it all the same, just comes out differently?
It is... Everyone's an individual still. And that's the piece that always... That's been the constant, is that every person is, you might see some patterns of thought, or you might see some kind of behaviors that I would say, that's different, or that's new. But one of the things I just have always been struck by is, because everyone, that's a kind of a question I've been asked many times. And it could be my inability to diagnose, because I've seen big things. For example, I remember being on campus when anxiety became the #1 mental health issue over depression, and I remember seeing that as a real thing in students' lives.
What do you think caused that?
I wonder if it isn't the fact that they are not presented with what is permanent and actually permanent. I think there's a vast degree of impermanence in things that what people put their hope in. Like we put our hope in things will get better, put our hope in other people, we put our hope in structures, so government or academia, whatever the thing is, and they all fail. And the failures of those things are on display. And so I think that that's a big piece of it. There's obviously more as well. What have you seen?
Well, I know this is the easy culprit, but first of all, what is anxiety? Is it when you feel a constant low-level dread? I don't know what it is. So
that's a good... I came across a fantastic definition from a woman who she works at it like an anxiety... if you were to go away for 6 weeks because you have chronic clinical anxiety, and she said something along the lines of when you're something. Okay, I'm gonna butcher this, but the anticipation of pain is greater than your perceived ability to handle that pain.
Okay.
So uncertainty and feeling like I am not capable of handling...
threat that I won't be able to overcome.
I'm not capable of handling what's coming in the future.
So, as I say, I think it's an easy culprit, but it would be very difficult not to point to the internet and the internet in our pockets as one of the main reasons we feel constantly anxious. I would think just being in a continual state of, should I be responding to somebody? Oh, I just received something. Should I send this? Put this out into the world. Now, what are people saying about that? What do they think about me? That has got to cause anxiety.
You would think. Plus kind of always being monitored, like you mentioned, kind of like, what does someone think now? I remember. Oh, so Jordan Peterson has mentioned that. So levels, the kind of the mid range or the bell curve of aggressive behavior is men and women are more or less on the bell curve, same, but at the extremes, men are vastly more aggressive. But he had said that the way that women are aggressive or manifest that is through gossip, innuendo, and reputation destruction. Guys might, bully each other physically or verbally, whatever, but it's different. Yeah. So the three, gossip, innuendo, reputation destruction. And you think, one of the things that's happening is anxiety is higher in females than in males, coupled with the internet, where you could go home after school and no one has the ability to harm you anymore. Like, gossip doesn't matter.
Yeah, I remember that in the 90s. I might have someone bully me at school, or I'd get into a tiff with somebody, then I'd go home, and for better or worse, I was home.
Yeah.
There was no way
the weekend,
to
you're like, okay. Yeah. You see him on Monday maybe.
Yeah.
But there's a safety there. And that gossip, innuendo, reputation destruction is limited to this place, as opposed to now it's always. So that anyone at any moment could just decide that you're on the outside. And there's something about that fear of being on the outside that we all have.
Yeah.
I can imagine that it'd be a very, very big thing. But what you see now too is, maybe Gen Z, Gen Alpha is...
What's Gen Alpha? What year is that? How old?
Here's the interesting thing. I remember I used to do like some generational things, and I would say, okay, so you have Boomer 1, Boomer 2, because those are two different eras.
All right.
Boomer 1 would be, they're still really dedicated to 20 years. So it would typically be a generation, would be 20 years. At least some of the people that I read 20 years ago. And so the first 10 years, Boomer 1, very locked in. Like, yep, we are patriotic. We are part of the system. We trust in systems. Boomer 2 was where the hippies came from. And so it's same generation, but two waves in that one generation.
Interesting.
My dad even described how his last year of college, he said, was the first year. He said, in college, everyone had a crew cut, a white t-shirt, and jeans. That's how that was what we wore to school all the time, or whatever. And he said, my senior year was when the first, long-haired student showed up, freshman. And I was like, wow, you're Boomer 1. He's clearly Boomer 1. And after that would be, Gen X, right, I think?
I don't know.
And then...
I guess Millennial after that,
Millennial.
Okay.
Then Gen Z. Then...
Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha. It seems to me, and I could be wrong on this, I should do more reading about it, either people are just coming up with shorter time frames because we need a new thing, or maybe things are moving so quickly.
That's what it is.
That there is.
That's what people tell me it is. Okay, That's what younger people tell me it is. They say it's because of the advancement of technology,
right,
that the Gen Z's life, they grew up inside of the internet, is totally different to me. Nate Bargatze has that funny joke where he says, I have more in common with a pilgrim than my daughter.
That's good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I'm hearing that there's a lot of people turning towards Christianity and Catholicism. It was like the new atheism had its day. Mm-hmm. We're kind of tired with modernity and being rootless and just floating through the void. We would like some meaning.
Yeah.
Peterson filled that gap for a while, or perhaps he's something of a gateway drug. Yeah. So on university campuses, are you seeing that? Are you seeing young men more interested in Catholicism than you did 15 years ago?
Absolutely. I remember the first, yes. I mean, that's been a growing trend. One of the things, this was pointed out to me by a priest in Chicago, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is absolutely right. He had pointed out that one of the moves was for many years, early 2000s, well, even 90s, sorry, hit the mic, even late 90s, early 2000s, new atheists, does God exist? There's been a decrease in that question, in the sense of, it seems reasonable to believe that God exists. At least there are smart people around, even now, who believe God exists. The question is God good? Is the deeper question in the modern young adult's heart. And I would say all the way down to middle school is asking that question. And on the good hand, a good side of it, it's not a new question. It's the same question the serpent asks of Adam and Eve in the garden, that sense of like, can you really trust him? Is he your dad, or is he a dictator? That's the question. So it's not a new question per se, but at the same time, it's fascinating because C.S. Lewis even wrote about this in God at the Dock, where he said, for millennia, almost 1900 years, the image was, here we're in a courtroom, And we're on trial because we're guilty. And what's God's answer for our guilt? God's answer for our guilt is the cross. And Lewis pointed out, I mean, this is maybe in the 30s or 40s, and he says that we still have a courtroom, but this time God is on trial because he's guilty of putting us in a world with suffering and death and evil. And what's God's answer to our lack of trust is the cross. And so it's the same, God's answer is the same, because even if the question changes. And so it's both an ancient question, also, again, it goes all the way back to the garden, but it's also a relatively new thing. I've just seen that one more and more. I don't know where it comes from. I think there's an aspect of people being dissatisfied with the world.
So are you seeing men just kind of come to your office? Are you seeing them show up at church events or Holy Mass on campus? How are you seeing them come? Yeah,
their friends often bring them. Or someone reaches out. We're on campus and someone says, "Hey, do you like meet with people?" Like, yes, yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, just for example, on this last Tuesday, we had an event that was advertised as called Open Door, and the idea was come with questions, leave with more than answers. That's the tagline that we came up with. And the first night was on truth and God's existence. And it was packed. Like the whole ballroom was full of everyone from freshmen to grad students.
Wow. This is an optional event.
Yeah, completely optional. The 4th week or 5th week of class, and on a Tuesday night, and because there's that big question, right? And so, and a lot of people, they stayed as long as they could afterwards, just wanting to like keep talking about this and keep asking questions. And it was great. Next week, we'll talk about who is Jesus and just kind of take some of those steps. But the fact that it's not a hard sell to invite people to consider these questions, they're already thinking about them. Again, I think this show is a great example that there are so many people, and not just people in general, but specifically a lot of men who watch this, listen to this, because it's like, wait, let's talk about ideas. Let's talk about truth. Let's talk about purpose. Let's talk about meaning. Let's talk about like, what is it to live a life of virtue? And I think people, I don't know, I think there's something, the way you do it too, and the people you have on that can articulate this in a powerful way that is compelling and doesn't seem either sappy or stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's not sappy in the sense of like, oh, it's all going to be fine. And it's not stupid in the sense that if you've thought, I sometimes go back and read some of the stuff you wrote like 20 years ago. And I'm like, wow, that was Matt. Oh my gosh.
On what?
It's all over the place. For example, this morning I get an email every day from
someone else sent me this text today. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'll be honest, I do not remember that.
And I was
remember
reading through it going, I didn't see who it was by yet. And I was like, oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, that's Matt. I'm talking to him later on today. And I was just so grateful. And I thought, when did he write that? So I don't even remember.
I have no idea. You're exactly right. I mean, we have such brilliant people here on the show that I have the honor of talking with. And to me, it seems like that's a good enough reason to give God a chance. If there are people who are intelligent and they don't seem, they seem like they're believing in God for good reasons. And if you don't think there are any good reasons to not believe in God, then you could like lean your sort of desires toward that conclusion and journey in that direction until you feel more of a conclusion.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. Well, I also think that there's some of the, I don't know what you say, stereotypes, or some of the, I don't want to say cliche because that's the wrong word, but some of the reasons why in the past, when I say in the past, I mean in my lifetime, that would make it harder to have credibility. I think there have been enough people who have demonstrated integrity so that when someone has received you in good faith, they can recognize that the sins of some people do not negate the truth or the goodness of the core, the reality of the whole. And I think, because that's why I got that a lot. I mean, being on campus again for 2 decades now, I remember those first years after, I guess I got assigned on campus at 2005 originally. Yeah, wow. 2005. Wow. And so, this is a tough time to dress as a priest and be on a campus and all these and then 2012, we had a marriage amendment in Minnesota during that time. And it was just like, there was a lot of there's a lot of reasons why people would be mad at me, even if they aren't mad at me in particular, if that makes any sense. And so that seems to be changed. It seems like, I don't know, things have shifted.
I like to think of these events that take place in culture that get us all riled up or confused as ideological smoke bombs, you know? So you're walking along, you see things clearly, and then something goes off. And so the new atheism was one of those things, you know, that kind of went off in everybody's face, and Christians were like scrambling to come up with an answer or not look like an idiot. And then you're being told by Richard Dawkins that if you raise your children Christian, this is abusive. And you're like, I hope I'm not abusive. And it's like, if you're kind of philosophically astute or intelligent enough, you can see through that. But a lot of people couldn't. Yeah. And I think something similar with gay marriage, you know, like back then, I don't know what it was. Was it in the water or the air, or just you felt like you had to continually justify yourself? Yeah. Whereas today, I'm willing to bet no one is terribly concerned that you're against gay marriage when it comes to you. No one cares at all. They're like, good, I hope you are. Yeah, I think for the most part. I mean, at least but isn't that wild how like at one stage, everyone is like riled up and super offended or super on edge about a particular topic. Yeah. And then that smoke kind of dies down and everyone kind of starts to see clearly for whatever reason, and then we can talk about it rationally. Well, I wonder if it's partly because the decision has been made in our country, at least. And at the time, it was when people were still voting before Oberg fell. I wonder if that's part of it. I think that's part of it. There's less of a push. Things are still at stake. You know, but again, I think it's that push and that obviously financially backed push by the left that caused it to be such a prominent issue. And then when you spoke out against it, people would say, calm down, Spaz. What has it got to do with you? And you're like, y'all are clearly pushing this on us. I even think like the transgender smoke bomb, to one degree, has died down. I've been talking a lot lately about my friends at the College of St. Joseph the Worker, you know, Jacob Imam, Mike Sullivan, Andrew Jones and company, the guys who started the college that combines the Catholic intellectual tradition with skilled trades training. Well, listen to this. They're growing their program and are looking to connect with experienced Catholic tradesmen to hire as instructors. So if you are an experienced carpenter, plumber, HVAC technician, or electrician and want to help mentor and teach future Catholic tradesmen, go right now to collegeofstjoseph.com/careers to connect with the college and see how you can become part of something truly special. And if you're watching or listening and know a tradesman who needs to hear this message, please invite them to reach out to the college. Again, that's collegeofstjoseph.com/careers. collegeofstjoseph.com/careers. Thanks. Focus just asked me to give a talk on wokeism in January. And I said, why? No one cares about it anymore. You're on a campus, maybe it's different, but for me, I'm like, it's done. Wokeism's done. It's just the fumes. It's like how Christianity was in the 70s, just riding on the fumes of better people who lived before them. And thankfully, there's a revival. But like wokeism's dead. That's how I see it. Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's not to say there aren't awful mass shootings by transgenderism folks and others that we're seeing and that we might need to address, but I just mean anyway. No, yeah, I would say I remember the first time I tried to have a conversation with someone who had really kind of drank that Kool-Aid, and it was you just try to receive people, and it was no matter what I said, just kind of receive, just okay, like tell me more about that kind of a situation. It was this necessity to see themselves as a victim, as well as to relate everything to some kind of class struggle or some kind of power struggle. And I just thought, this is the last time we ever spoke was I couldn't give them that ground. It was a moment where I had used we had met many times, just trying to like just receive and let's walk. And at one point, I had used a story in a homily, and she came up and said, well, do you think it's because of racism? I was like, oh no, that had nothing to do with it. This person in the story wouldn't have never even claimed that. It was something completely different. And I remember it was Palm Sunday because she had made crosses out of her palms. She had made 3 crosses out of her palms. And she said, well, you can have these. It's clear I don't belong here. And I was like, I have them still. And they're normally on the mantle up above the fireplace because as a reminder of just, here's this girl who
there's no external reason why she would have been so captivated by this, lie, I guess, that all of life can be reduced to that. And whenever I see him, I pray for her and hope she's doing better.
What is it? What is it that kind of? Because I agree. It's it really is a sort of like bourgeoisie, proletariat, communistic view of the world that has seeped into BLM and tranny stuff and all that. And it's very intoxicating, especially if you get to perceive yourself as a victim and everybody else to be an oppressor.
Yeah. It also, I mean, it's kind of like I don't know if you think like this, but I think sometimes I have to be on guard against a narrative that's too simple that explains everything.
That's an ideology, right?
Right. And so I think that's part of it that's so captivating is, if we just did this, everything would be resolved. And if people just realize that I know this, I learned this thing and it makes so much sense in this kind of abstract, don't actually try to think it through and don't try to apply it. As long as you don't try to apply it, just think about it in a classroom, then it explains things. And that's why I never want to have Christianity be that narrative that it has to fit always, because Christianity is bigger, it's simpler and also more complex. That lens, that story. But
and it's a person. It's not.
Yeah, it's not
an
ideology.
Philosophy of life or a moral system. It's the best philosophy and it's the best moral system, but it's neither of those things. And we reduce it to them often, don't we? We think if people would just stop fornicating, things would be so much better.
Everyone just believed in God, it'd be fine.
Here's the syllogism, accept it.
Right.
But you're like, no, we have a God who is in love with us and who is infinitely happy. And who has predestined us to share in that happiness. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. He gets to be our refuge. Yeah,
and I can know the truth. That's then the brokenness of my own self, but it's the brokenness of humanity. Is I can know the truth and not do the truth, and not live that. Yeah. Like I can know, this leads to death and this leads to life, and I can choose death on a regular basis. In almost the same breath, just to recognize, my own. There could be that sense of what is it? So again, the answer has to explain all of it, not just.
Well, I like how you put it many years ago when people were debating, same-sex relationships and things like that. You had said many times, this is not us against them. It's just us with all of our different, some perversions are worse than others. No one would deny that. But we're all struggling with our wounds, our passions, our perversions, all of us. We're all in this together. And so, I think you run into trouble if you look at that girl who gives you the 3 crosses and say that she's somehow fundamentally different than me. Like, it's true that she's bought into something false, but like, how have I done that? And those are difficult questions, eh? It'd be much easier just to sort of draw a line around yourself and your friends and say, we're good, they're bad.
Yeah. Well, I don't have too far to remember. When I was in college, I was studying theology, going to daily mass, daily holy hour, became a missionary in Central America. I don't know if I shared this with you, but and I hated the Catholic Church. I was a Catholic missionary.
Oh, wow. And why did you hate I hate the Catholic Church too, but I also love the Catholic Church.
So. I would say it's because it's a couple of reasons. One is because.
So you're a Catholic, as a Catholic missionary. What did you hate about? When I say I hate the Catholic Church, what I mean is I'm pretty sure it's one of, if not the most corrupt institutions on the planet, and I see it failing everywhere, and that's okay with me. Actually, I have received a great deal of peace from realizing, to quote Peter Kwasniewski, that the ship that has sailed across the oceans of time is not this glowing orb with the epitome of, Christian men and women. Yeah. No, the ship is sinking. There are holes in the side. The mast is broken. The sailors are drunk, but it's the only one that'll reach the port. Yeah. So it's here or you die in the ocean. Yeah. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Of course, I love our holy church.
No, I would say this.
But what was it about it for you?
I had some questions about the hot button issues, the areas where, as Catholics, we took a stand and other Christians didn't. And I'm like, well, why? And so questions like contraception. I don't know why that became an issue for me in college, because I wasn't contracepting and didn't have any need to, but it seemed like such a silly thing, a silly teaching.
To get kind of hung up on? Is that the idea?
Just like, why is this? And when I would ask, I wouldn't get a good answer. I remember an answer was, well, it goes back to this Augustinian framework where the body is bad and sex is bad, and it kind of what it came down to is, don't worry, the church will change. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm this theology major, so I'm so smart. So I can blame people who didn't necessarily give me the answer that I was looking for. I also have to take responsibility for my own pride and my own, no one's convinced me yet, so, I can have a hard heart and a hard mind. But that was it. That kind of started it. It was like sexual ethics type stuff. At the same time, I wholeheartedly believe the Eucharist. I absolutely know abortion is wrong. And so it was like, why contraception? Again, it just seemed like I'd asked the question, did not get a good answer, and then was kind of in this place where you just have to be really skeptical of the church, the Catholic Church, because it's embarrassing. We have these stands on certain things. And again, I can blame the externals all I want. Ultimately, it's come down to me. The point being this, I could tell you the story of coming back to the church.
Was this in the mid to late 90s? And this is interesting for people who might be much younger, not realizing that at the click of a button, you could see what the church taught and why.
Totally, yeah.
There was Jason and Christina Everett and Dr. Janet Smith and Dr. Scott Hahn. So what resources, did you look into resource, or were resources not available except for those people in your life?
That's a good question, because that's why I can blame myself. Were there resources available that I didn't either know of or didn't really pursue? I think that there's a quickness I could have to being stubborn and being like, well, I didn't see anything. Well, that didn't make any sense. And so I'm out, And so, again, I have to blame my own pride and my own lack of diligence. So I can't just point to certain professors or priests or nuns who didn't give the direction I was looking for. I'll tell you the story coming back around, but to pause on that for a second, and I realize that that ultimately wasn't the end of my story. I remember I would be in these classes, theology classes, with deacon candidates from the diocese in which I was going to school, and these were I look back and I'm so embarrassed. These are really good men, men who they're raising their family. They're taking a night class. They haven't. It's a 3-year whatever it is program, and I've been taking theology. I'm 21. I've been studying this for day in and day out, and just mocking and having arguments with them in class, and they're just like, no, I'm just trying to be faithful to the church. I'm not here. I am going faithful to the church. That's stupid, kind of thing. And so, because of what a jerk I know I have been, when I talk to someone like that young woman or talk to any of our students, I realize, oh no. I genuinely mean it. Not even in this kind of I'm a humble person, but I don't know if I've ever met anyone worse than me. In some ways, some ways I'm fine. In some ways I'm really great, I'm better than you. But when it comes to some of those areas, I'm like, no, if you would have replayed a conversation from class, or usually it was kind of like I had fun kind of with that academic sparring. But at what cost, I actually, even in seminary, even though I came back to the church, and internally as well as externally, and I'm going on a tangent. I don't need to go. I don't need, unless you want me to keep going.
If you think it's worth it.
I just think there's an aspect where it's I know that I have the potential on my evaluation after a year or two of being in major seminary. One of the things that came up was Mike is often caustic and abrasive in class.
That is interesting. You are not like that. I don't see you like that.
I'm grateful for that, because, and what it was I know which professor it was.
Yeah,
it was the one
stupid one.
It was the dumb one. No,
it was
the one who wasn't faithful to the church. So at this point, I'm like, oh, I'm in now. But the same jerkiness that was jerks to the guys who were faithful to the church when I was not, came out when I am faithful and the other guy is not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so just learn. I I remember reading that and thinking, oh, I know who said that, Dr. So-and-so. But that doesn't give me the right to be caustic and abrasive. I don't know.
Well, I was talking to a therapist here recently, and I realized very quickly that he has a very different job to me, clearly. I mean, he's got to deal with hurting human beings. And I think it's way too easy to run a podcast and to run your mouth off and to sound all aggressive, because the YouTube algorithm really respects that. Humility rarely goes viral. But what I love about what you're doing, Father, is that you're actually on campus with flesh and blood human beings. And my fear is that many of us who run podcasts don't interact with those things called human beings. And if we do, maybe we're not even having conversations about the faith with them because that's too awkward or too embarrassing. So we just jump on here and do it. And it's very different engaging with a human being with their history and their hang-ups. So I'm thrilled that I thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for being so charitable to people. I mean, it's funny, right? Like, what gives us the right to be so arrogant and to shame people and to judge them? First, because as you say, our own sins are countless. But two, we all acknowledge that culture is destroyed, or at least broken in some significant way. People are growing up in broken families, and they're dealing with heard of levels of anxiety. And we say, well, for good reason, look at what we've created. And then we turn around and we shame people or we blame them for asking questions, or like this beautiful girl, God love her, who get upset with you, But yeah, it takes a lot more patience, doesn't it, to walk with people.
Yeah. It's
slam dunking on people on Twitter, way more fun, looks really cool. But no.
It's messy.
Journeying with people.
Real relationships are messy. It's great to be able to look back and say, oh, I remember meeting with this guy, and now look at him. He's doing great. He's married and he's moving forward, or whatever. Met with this girl and she had a conversion. It's amazing, which is great. But then you look back and think, oh, that was that hard conversation. And this time where it was just like, we're really struggling. And it's just messy. That's one of the reasons why you pointed it out just now. But when I talk to people who will say, hey, I teach religious ed on Wednesday nights, or I teach at a Catholic school and we use your resources all the time. I think, okay, in that context, they're saying thank you. Like, you're the one doing the hard work.
Yeah.
Like, I get to sit in a room and hit record, blah, 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 hit stop. You're the one who has to press play, and then I do my thing, and then someone says, I don't know what I think about this, or I think that's horrible, or whatever the thing is. But if you're walking with them, you're the one, way harder. It's vastly harder.
Yeah.
But
it's way harder, and you perceive it as less glory, right? You record a video and you're very excellent at it. You get tens of thousands of views, and it's like, oh, that looks good. I just get to look at those numbers. I shouldn't put it on you, myself included, right? And then this poor fella is showing your video, and then he's interacting with one person, and no success may come of it at the way he sees it. And that feels a lot less glorious. But as you say, he's the one in the trenches compared to the YouTuber or the podcaster.
Well, I remember hearing, it wasn't Catholic, but it was a Christian who was working at a Christian seminary, and said, one of my fears is that a lot of the people are here to be preachers, not pastors. Mm-hmm. And that notion of, I'm going to get back to the business of, just preaching, being on stage or in the sanctuary, I guess, wherever they have in their churches. And they used an example where they were going through this class of how to walk with people in a pastoral way. Had some kind of case studies. And one of the seminarians asked something along the lines of, so how do we fix this so that we can get back to the work of, being a pastor? And the teacher was like, no, this is the work of being a pastor. This is the work of all of these people. And it's just, I look at my brother priests, and just in my diocese too, and I think, man, I remember one guy came over. There was confession. He wanted to go to confession. So I'm like, come by. I had just gotten back from like a trip of, speaking and this and that. And I'm like, I'm at the house. And so he swung by and went to confession. And he's like, okay, sorry, I have to run. I'm on my way to the hospital. There's, it wasn't urgent, but it was like, I have to go because there's someone who needs me to be there. This family needs me to, and so I just stopped by for 5 minutes. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, here I am, just, getting back from a trip, sitting in this house in my shorts. And here's this man who once again, and that's the thing, is like all these priests once again are getting up and going to the hospital. Once again are getting up.
Priest who came to confession.
Sorry. Should have been clearer about that.
Okay.
Bad storyteller. But that sense of, I'm so moved by, my brother priests in our diocese who they just keep loving, they're ordinary people loving ordinary people. And that's way more important. Way more important than...
It reminds me of Chesterton's line, there's nothing so extraordinary as an ordinary man, his ordinary wife, and their ordinary children. And something similar could be said, right? There's no priest so extraordinary as the one who just sort of gets up and does his best and is present to the people who are in pain.
Yeah, I get to do fun things.
Yeah.
Like, here we are.
Yeah.
And it's just...
How did you reconcile your opinion with the church's teaching on human sexuality? I just want to make sure I tie that up.
So I was a missionary teaching religion and English at a Catholic high school in Central America, and it was run by SOLT, the Society of Our Lady, the Holy Trinity, and so I remember this very clearly. We landed. And the principal, Mr. Tim Robinson, he met us. And from the moment he started speaking, I was like, whoa, this is like Catholic with a capital C. Like, this is what is going on here. And here I am I'm the theology major. I know all of this stuff. And so here I am still going to Mass. There are two priests, Father John McHugh, who's one of the co-founders of SOLT, and Father Anthony Blunt. And Father John was the old priest. Father Tony was the young priest. And I'd go to daily Mass. And I would like openly like dismiss them. So they'd be preaching and I'd be like, like rolling my eyes, doing this kind of like, I can't believe this, And I realize now up there, you can see all of it. Like you can see everything. I'm not hiding. Like no one, I was like, well, they can't see me. They don't care. No, they were ignoring me because I'd be distracting them. We would have missionary meals and sit at these couple picnic tables in their home. Every night of the week. And oftentimes the missionaries, other fellow teachers we're all the same age. We're all kind of doing this thing. Would be asking Father Tony or Father John questions. And I'm down there at the other end of the table, just making fun, like, ridiculous. That's dumb. And two things happened that like changed everything. One is I had been there for maybe a month and a half, 2 months. And I got really, really sick. Like so sick. They're like, oh, I think this might be the end kind of a thing. Like it was, and so I'm laying there in my bed in this jungle area type place. And Father Tony, I would usually describe his days. They would start so early, 5 o'clock. He'd pray. He'd go across the border. He'd be saying Mass all day, bring the sacraments, come back across the border between Belize and Guatemala, and say Mass on the Belizean side at like 7. So now it's 7:45, 8 o'clock, and he's crossing the little dirt alley between the church and his rectory to get some rice and beans. And someone's like, oh, Father Tony, Mike's really sick. And so this guy who I'd been a jerk to for the last 2 months doesn't hesitate. He runs back into the church, gets Holy Communion, gets the anointing oils, runs over to where I am. And he says, would you like to go to confession, receive anointing and communion? And there's so many layers to this. One layer on the side was, I was like, I don't need confession. I'll take the other two things though, which... That's a whole nother thing we could talk about later on. But I remember one thought that I had as Father Tony's there, bringing me the anointing of the sick and Holy Communion. I thought, well, maybe Father Tony isn't, my way I could justify dismissing him was, well, he doesn't really know Jesus. Like he's all about the rules. And I remember thinking, oh, maybe he does know Jesus. Like that was as if I could be the judge of that, but that's what I was. I remember thinking that maybe he does know Jesus. I should give him another chance. And so it took me a couple weeks to recover. I recovered and I was like, I'm going to give him Father Tony another chance. Like he came to my bedside when I was sick. And then I saw him and I was like, I hate that guy. It was just one of those. But a couple weeks later, this is all happening in this first semester.
You thought you hate that guy who was coming to help you?
Well, because I just what a dummy.
Why would you think that if you were so sick? I would think you'd be grateful.
I did. I was grateful initially.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, wow, maybe he does know Jesus. This is amazing. He came I know his long day, and he ran, even though I'd been a jerk to him, he ran over to that thing. And then I see him again, and he'd say something about like the truth.
Oh, this is after you'd recovered?
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. So after I recovered and went to mass, I'm like, he's wrong again. So I didn't hate him, but it was like, he just, thinks he's right still.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks later, every other Tuesday night, Father Tony would teach the teachers. And one night he was going to teach on Humanae Vitae, right? Pope Paul VI's document on openness to life. And I was like, I'm not going to go to that. That's ridiculous. And I was like, you know what? I am going to go to that, and I'm going to destroy him. Like, I'm going to blow him out. I have a degree in theology, So I remember going into this classroom and like ready for a fight, like bring it on. And I thought he was going to, I don't know what I thought he was going to say. Maybe something like, well, the Pope says this, therefore we have to obey it. But he just started with this kind of natural law. He said, he wrote on the board, we all know this, right? Like, yeah. And we all know this. Yeah. Well, therefore, and he connected the dots. And it was like halfway through this talk, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is, what is going on? And by the time he got done, I remember thinking, I can no longer believe what I've been believing. Like I walked out of that classroom, and it was just like night and day. I just remember thinking, and it was also an experience of like, I was wrong. And it was an experience of being joyful at being wrong, because it was just, oh my gosh, I was wrong. The church is right. And then it was this kind of painful, but great search for like, where else do I think I'm right and the church is wrong? Where else is the church? Could the church be right? And it started me on this path of like, oh my gosh, the joy of being wrong was what it was in that moment. And I'm so grateful in God's providence in so many ways. The next day, still rough around the edges. So the next day, lunchtime, go over to the rectory to get some lunch quick. Father John's there, and he's lamenting that this liturgical abuse type thing had happened at an event he was at. And here I am going, well, that sounds like a good idea, whatever, being a turd again. And so I leave to go back to school. And he goes on the porch, like, Mark, he's from Oklahoma. Mark, you come back here for a second? And I'm like, sure. And then he was this man co-founded SOLT. He's been a priest in this place for years. When the priest he replaced had been murdered. Wow. And no one else would go there, but Father John would go. And so like this man, and he's visibly agitated. He's like, I don't know how to ask you this. I just, I just have to know, you're teaching religion at our school. Where are you at when it comes to the church's teaching on contraception? And I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm in. I'm down. Like, it was one of those where that's the one thing that I had already, for the last previous 20 hours, I've been like, yeah, I'm on board. And he asked me, because he was getting ready to send me home. Like,
had he heard something?
They just had seen all me being such a, so that was that started this whole process of being open. To get the kind of follow-up coming with this is so being open, the next semester is when I, in prayer, discerned, God's calling me to go to seminary. So then that's the rest of that story. The next summer, so I already had 1 year of seminary. 2 of our missionaries were getting married to each other. And so Father John and Father Tony had come up from Central America to be at the wedding. And I caught them in the parking lot, and because I need to apologize. Like, I have now a year or plus to look back and see like what a jerk I'd been, how horrible I was. Even though that second semester, I think things were better. And so I caught him in the parking lot. Like, fathers, I just want to apologize for, being, all this arrogant, et cetera, et cetera. And you would have thought that they hadn't noticed it. They were like, oh, no, nope. Almost. So then in my mind, I was thinking, wait, was it not that bad? Was it actually, maybe just in my head that I was, so fast forward more. I'm ordained now. I'm assigned to you.
That's how they responded?
That's how they responded. It's kind of like, okay, well, whatever. Fast forward, I'm ordained. I'm assigned to the University of Minnesota Duluth. A couple of our students graduate and join SOLT. Mm-hmm. And so one of our students, Father Tony is her formator. He's her spiritual director. And she's like, oh, Father Tony. And Father Mike he was my priest back in Duluth. And he says that he was kind of a jerk to you and Father John. And she said, he sat back in his chair and he put his hands over his face and started rubbing his forehead.
Good son.
And he said, the number of nights that Father John and I stayed up talking and praying about what do we do with this guy? Like, do we send him home or what? He can't, why? We're letting him teach in the school. Like, he said it was a big deal. So that like parking lot thing that was my perception. They were being nice to me,
okay.
but they were like, yeah, no, it was, we were going to send him home. Which is really fascinating. A couple of years ago, I was in Detroit. Father Tony's assigned there now. He's in Detroit at a parish. And he had me come over to the House of Formation. We hadn't really seen each other much. And to just kind of have dinner with the guys in formation and kind of tell them stories. And so I was recounting this whole thing.
I want to tell you about Hallow, which is the #1 downloaded prayer app in the world. It's outstanding. Hallow.com/Matt Fradd. Sign up over there right now and you will get the first 3 months for free. That's like a lot of time. You can decide whether it's useful to you or not, whether it's helpful. If you don't like it, you can always quit. Hallow.com/Matt Fradd. I use it. My family uses it. It's fantastic. There are over 10,000 audio guided prayers, meditations, and music, including my lo-fi. Hallow has been downloaded over 15 million times in 150 different countries. It helps you pray, helps you meditate, helps you sleep better. It helps you build a daily routine and a habit of prayer. There's honestly so much excellent stuff on this app that it's difficult to get through it all. Just go check it out. Hallow.com/Matt Fradd. The link is in the description below. It even has an entire section for kids. So if you're a parent, you could play little Bible stories to them at night. It'll help them pray. Fantastic. Hallow.com/Matt Fradd.
Father Tony's like, oh, you missed a bunch of stuff. Like, what did I miss? He said one thing in particular. He said, that night that he gave the talk on Humana Vitae, he said, I got done and any questions? And you put your hand up. And you started asking about priestly celibacy, like why priests have to be celibate. And I remember standing there thinking, this has nothing to do with the talk I just gave. This has nothing. And I had forgotten that completely. But looking back on it, I remember, I was running like this. I wonder if I needed an excuse to be angry at the church, because if I was angry at the church, then I could not do what God's asking me to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so here's this pillar got knocked down about contraception.
Do you mean running from the priesthood?
Yeah, I think so, in some ways. And then it was just one of those like, wow, okay, I can't remember that now. So I was trying to find something to grab onto that just would be.
Yeah.
And then he said a couple weeks later, he said, I don't know if you remember this. All the religion teachers were going to Belize City for some kind of conference, and I was going to give a talk, and Megan looked over and said, Father Tony, what are you talking about when we get to the thing? And I said the name of the talk and the topic, and then I said, Mike, what do you think? What do you think about that? And you looked at me, and you smiled, and you said, I think that sounds really good. And I had never seen you smile at me before. And I thought, what is going on in this guy's life? And I just think, oh my gosh, Lord, thank you so much. Like my spiritual director once, I had told him the whole thing. I told him about that one night where Father Tony came over to offer confession, anointing, and communion. And it was like a couple years later, he brought it back up. And he said, I want to bring this, you mentioned this when we first met. You told me your story. I want to tell you that when you told me that part of the story, like my blood ran cold. Because you know this, right? You know that if you would have died, you probably would have been lost to God forever. And I was like, oh my gosh, here I am. Here is God offering me his mercy. Like literally coming to and whenever I think of someone who says like, on my deathbed, then I'll have, I'll go to confession on my deathbed, or I'll have this kind of, like I was, for all intents and purposes, on my deathbed. Nah, it's okay. I'm still going to do what I want to do. And I just think, oh my gosh, Lord, he's been so good to me. And because of that, there's not one person that they have that, they've drank the Kool-Aid of whatever the ideology is right now, whatever the movement is right now, whatever their hatred is against Jesus or the church right now, that I'm like, oh no, that was worse.
This question might be too personal, so you can choose at whatever level you want to answer it. But what's been the most difficult thing about being a priest?
That's a good question.
If you asked me that about marriage, I think I'd probably, I don't know, I wouldn't get super specific, right? So I don't mean to press.
Yeah. No, I think that I don't know. I guess I don't.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Do you like it more than you used to or less?
So here's something about me, Matt. So self-reflection is a big thing, but grading the self-reflection is a small thing. So what I mean by that is, at one point I was talking to one of our focus missionaries, and she had said, "Oh, I can never see myself living in Duluth forever." And she said, "Do you like living in Duluth?" And I thought, I've literally never asked that question of myself. Why? Because the bishop tells me where to live. I just go where he tells me to go. So I've never thought, do I like living in Duluth? I just live in Duluth. And so similarly, like, do I enjoy or like being a priest or less?
Do you feel pressure to kind of be effusive about how great it is, lest people think that you aren't happy with it?
I don't know.
Because I think I would feel that way if someone said, "You like being married?" I think I would say, "Yeah, I love my wife."
Yeah.
But I could see the temptation to be like, "Oh my gosh, I love it." And it's like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. No, I think that there's different temperaments. So this is we've been doing this campaign, fundraising to build a church in a Newman Center.
Have you?
And
I have heard about it.
You don't know? Okay.
No, you told me about it. We texted about it a while ago. But how's it? What are you doing?
Well, I can say more later. But this is the point being. One of the guys we're working with. He's incredible. He worked for Focus for years. Worked for a bunch of different groups, and his life is on the road, and that's what he loves doing it. But I'm kind of more of an introvert in the sense of I really enjoy time when I'm alone and not necessarily. And so here I go thrown into these social situations where a bunch of strangers, everyone's a stranger. Sometimes there's friendships that are developing, which is great. Actually, that's become wonderful. But it was one day, I remember the first time he asked me this question. I was at this family's house. They had a bunch of families over this house, and it was really fun. I mean, objectively, it was fun in the sense of playing games, having food, whatever. And we get to the car and we're pulling out of the driveway. And he's like, "So, Father Mike, did you have fun?" And I was like, I don't know how to answer this question because objectively, we did a bunch of enjoyable things. But knowing myself, I would never have voluntarily chosen to go to this place and done these things unless we had a mission to do this. And so I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to answer this question, And so, but he always asked me like, so how was that? Did you have fun? And I remember talking to my brother and one of my brothers-in-law about it. And I was like, maybe I should have fun. And they both yelled at me. They're like, "No, you don't have to have fun doing something. You're built a different way. You don't have to enjoy this. You can just say, no, I'm doing what I'm asked to do and I'm content."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, good. So to bring it all the way back around.
Does it feel like too much pressure to ask that?
I think what's your definition of fun? It's kind of like what's your definition of happy. And I remember I got some clarity. Arthur Brooks, some of his work has been so helpful. At one point, are you happy? Well, what do you mean by happy? Is that ecstatic? You mean smiling, laughing, or can happy mean content? I'm like, oh, I like that. Same with fun. Did you have fun? That was pleasant. I think it was pleasant. But I'm trying to think. Even if someone asked me this simple question, "What do you do for fun?" I don't know. I don't know if I have fun. Does that make sense?
No, I get it, I think. I don't know if this is similar. I'm going to go out on a limb here and you might be like, "You don't understand me at all," and feel deeply lonely. But I got a friend who I love and we'll sometimes hang out or do a few things and he'll say something like, "I really, really needed this." I'm like, I want to feel that. I don't think I ever feel that.
Yeah.
I don't ever feel especially stressed. Sometimes I do. Or especially this is the greatest thing ever. But people say, whenever I do this thing, I'm like, I want that thing.
Yeah. That's
is that
good.
anything like
Yeah, totally. Because there is that sense of, so I think it was my first trip to Israel. Everything's new, incredible. Went to Capernaum and said mass at the church built over Peter's house. And afterwards, walking over to the synagogue, and one of the fellow pilgrims was a friend from Duluth. She's a Catholic singer, and now she still is. But she is like a heart on your sleeve, kind of just emotions are there. And she walked up afterwards, and she grabbed my arm. She's like, "Oh my gosh, what was it like to say mass at Peter's house?" Da, da, da. And I like, well, it was mass. I mean, mass is always good. And I felt badly, like, oh, something's broken inside that I can't have the same experience that she has about this, or like your friend who was just like, I needed that.
Right.
And like, oh no, this is just. That's how I am.
Yeah.
And so if she's, do I like being a priest? Yeah, definitely.
That's nice. I like that.
I don't know. I wouldn't. If the Lord said, here's another life you could live if you want, I would say no, thank you.
Yeah.
That's
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel too tired to start again as well. No, it is good. It is. My wife is extroverted and incredibly sanguine. She once said to me, you know when you're at a party and you just don't want to leave till everybody's gone? And I said, I do not understand the words coming out of your face, and I thought I knew you. I'm deeply hurt.
Yes.
The fact that she would feel that way and then assume that I also felt that way. You know what I like doing at parties?
Leaving?
Going to the bathroom.
Yes.
If I can't leave. And if the bathroom has 2 locks, here's what I hate. I hate going to a bathroom at a party with an unsatisfying click on the handle. Hate that. Now I know what anxiety is. But if it has the satisfying click and then the little slide,
you can also
I'll hang out there for a long time.
That's awesome.
Maybe not a long time, but just until I hear the hand rattle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I should probably.
I'm way out.
Yeah, I don't love parties. I think it's like I like small groups. If there's like 4 of us and I know everybody and I sort of feel comfortable and I understand the group dynamics, then I could do it all night.
Yeah.
It's more when I feel like I don't understand how to play this game. And I know it's not a game, and I'm not accusing people of being insincere. But when I don't understand it, it feels like other people understand the dynamics of conversation and what we're going to talk about. And I feel very, I don't even think, I think I might leave soon. According to my good wife, I just leave. I just go.
Yeah.
She's like, where did you go? Why didn't you? Like, I just wanted to come home, But the more I reflect on it, I think that's what and if the group gets too big, then I just can't. Then I have no idea how to interact with that number of people. And I genuinely think and this isn't a self-deprecating thing. I just think they won't notice me gone. There's a lot of them. They're fine, so I'll just go.
Yeah. No, I really relate to that. One thing I like a lot is, but also at the same time, if it hits me right, like now I'm your wife, where it's like, oh, I said I was going to leave an hour ago, but this is fun because now I have something. Usually, it's if I have something to do with that takes the focus off of me. I don't have to kind of perform if that's the right. I don't have to entertain.
Yep.
So one way is if say for example, if we were somewhere and all these people we don't know, like, oh, but Matt and I get to just have a conversation. Like that would be like, okay, good.
That.
Like that would be good. Yeah. And then it would be like, okay, or if there's, again, something to do. So when we host events on campus, a lot of times we're serving food. And so we're grilling burgers and brats or whatever. And so as long as I can be at the grill and people can come up and they can talk and or else I feel like I'm imposing on someone if I walk up to a group of people and try to talk, or we walk up to one person, try to talk. Versus, like, here I'm flipping burgers. I have a thing to do. I'm so occupied and I feel useful. But also, everyone who walks up, I know that you want to be here. Yeah. And if you didn't, you just go over there.
Yeah.
And there's something about that. Again, I think it goes back to there's temperament, but there's also, our own insecurities and like I think about this a lot actually because I find myself in crowds. I have this theory about middle children. I don't know if it's true at all, but the theory is that middle children fall into one of 2 categories. Either they're the middle, so they have to like fight for attention. They like being the center of attention, or they're the middle, so they hide in the crowd. And I'm more drawn to the second. Like when I have some friends who, when they walk into a room, I'm like, wow, that's incredible. They walk into a room with the mentality of, who gets to talk to me first.
That's my wife.
And
she's the humblest woman.
Right. So not even in a cocky or arrogant way, but just in that sense of like, this is fun. Who first?
What's up?
And I slink into rooms.
Yeah.
Like I recognize that, and I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good. I think that it's the opposite of actual humility. It's overly self-preoccupied with like, am I doing something right? I don't want to be in anyone's space. I don't want to mess up. Like you mentioned, playing the game, like that sense of, versus seeing it as an opportunity to, so what I've tried to do is, okay, I'm going to see this as an opportunity to be as kind to the people who are here as I possibly can. So the conversation is going to be about you, that kind of thing, I don't know.
Well, I also think it's got to be difficult with, whether you want to or not, you have a lot of popularity because of the podcast you've done. And I feel this way, right? When I meet someone and they go, hey, what's your name? I'm like, I love when people don't know who I am, because if they do know who I am, I feel like, there's probably a bunch of stuff they'd want me to apologize for. I've been doing this for 10 years now. They know way more about me than I'll ever know about them. They know way more about me than is prudent to know. I've probably said things they just listened to that I don't even know if I agree with them. So I feel sometimes quite self-conscious. But I tell you this, I think that, when you meet someone who maybe you listen to or look up to, if they're rude to you, it's double the insult.
Yeah.
But I do think too, though, if you're just kind, it's double the compliment.
Yeah.
That's true of me, right? If I meet someone and they're just very normal and I've been looking up to them for a while, I feel so I really try to do that when I meet people.
Yeah.
But what's weird though is I don't know how it's being. See, this is me up in my head. Maybe you relate to this. It's like I'm perceiving myself reacting to them, hoping that I'm coming off the way they want me to react, and then wondering why it matters to me so much that I'm coming off the way I think I should come off, and then I don't know what to do except leave.
Which is I've heard, who is it? Some of the people online who are psychologists or people who say things like the way to enjoy those kind of conversations is to stop thinking about how you're being perceived and direct your attention to the other person.
So I'm
not telling you that's what you need to do. I'm just
no, thank you. There was actually a follow-up to why I brought that up. I remember because I walked into Seek, the big conference. I don't know how many there was at the last one, like 19,000 or something. It was in Missouri or whatever. I know they've split them up now. But I remember just speaking to Father Boniface, my spiritual father, and I said to him, if I don't feel as if I need to match people's energy, then I'll survive this.
Yeah.
So if people go, hey, and I go, hi, how are you? Nice to see you. And I can just be normal, I can do this.
Yeah.
But and no one's asking me to, right? It's like this weird thing that I feel like I go, like, what's up? If I feel like, if I have to do that to 20,000 individual people or 10,000 or 300 or whatever, I will die a very, very quick death and then be back in my hotel room.
Yeah.
So I think that if I just think you don't have to, you can just.
Well, that's one of the reasons. I think the most gracious thing when someone is looking forward to meeting you, the most gracious thing you can do is receive whatever it is they have to offer. And so, I remember there was a season where, like at a Steubenville conference, where it seemed like the teens just want to get a receipt, and so I was, hell, let's get a selfie. This is a receipt.
Oh,
That's as opposed to like, well, what's your name?
Yeah.
Like, no, can you just get a picture? Yeah, where are you from? Okay, just, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we can do that. And if that's what you want. When it seems like the college conferences and then some adult conferences we've done recently, or even adult talks, they want to share their part of their story. And the great thing is, like you mentioned, they already know my story. Like they already know so many things about me that I just get to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
And I genuinely enjoy that. It's a gift, but it's also, I see it as kind of like a part of the mission of to receive someone well. But mentioning when people don't know who you are, I had a dinner for this fundraising thing a couple months ago, and the person I was sitting across from, the person I was sitting next to, the guy was like, so if I just Google Father Mike Schmitz, will like I find some information about you? But yeah, you should. Yeah, you probably should. You would. And I was like, this is so good. Just talking to Matt. You're Matt. His name's Matt too. And it was was like, oh, this is great.
It's way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I often wonder how I would be different right now if I never had done this. Would I be better or worse?
Right.
Or the same in a different kind of way? And if I quit now and 10 years from now, would I be a better person? Or, it's a hard thing it's a weird thing.
Well, also just if I can imagine that when it happens, it will fade so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, just when the last invitation happens.
Yeah.
That it just all goes so quickly. That same young woman that was like, oh, did you just, I always like to say mass in this, her name is Danielle. Mm-hmm. And Danielle was she's a great singer, great songwriter. I really love her very much. She was booked always. She was being asked to go to all these places. She went into the convent for a couple years and discerned out. And then there was the pain of, it took 3 years, and I'm calling people now, and they're like, no, who are you? And that kind of, and it was that quick, and she's reconciled all of that stuff in her heart, beautiful. And it was just incredible.
Yeah.
But it is,
and how important to be honest about the disappointment she felt.
Yeah.
If she were to sort of bypass that and pretend I'm good, praise God. Who am I?
I don't need this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, no, who am I? I don't need anyone's attention, and they should forget me. Instead of like the kind of embarrassment, maybe at acknowledging your. Not saying she's immature, but like your lack of spiritual growth, where you would really like people to know who you are, where you really would like the phone calls to keep coming, to kind of acknowledge that part of you is probably a more healthy thing, and then to bring it to our Lord. Yeah,
and she just it was one. I remember she had said that, and at the same time, I was at a retreat place up in Minnesota called Pachman Terrace, and there was a priest who from the Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis, who was a big deal. I mean, he started this massive parish in one of the suburbs that people would drive on Sundays, drive an hour just to be part of this parish. He had this outreach to just a lot of growth. He was always invited to stuff. He retired and got more invitations, and then he lived at this hermitage retreat place. And I remember the woman who ran it. She said, I think sometimes Father so-and-so, I think sometimes it bothers him that people don't call anymore, that he doesn't get invited to. And I thought, but that's what has to happen at some point for all of us. The phone has to stop ringing. And again, the fact is, I just go think about myself and think, at some point, it is so faded that literally no one will remember or care.
Yeah.
And that's just what has to happen. And that's not even, I don't know what it's going to be like.
What's strange though is that every human being, we all know this, has a podcast. There are, as Dave Rubin says, there are more podcasts than people at this point, which means, obviously that's hyperbole, but not far from it, not far from the truth, which means more people today have a quote unquote platform than certainly when you and I were around in the 90s. And so in a way that applies to everybody. Not everybody, but everybody who's got some kind of platform. So that's interesting, like that my self-worth or my view of myself depends on what strangers think of me, or if they think of me at all. We have to be really careful that we really kind of place those people in our lives, like my beautiful children and my wife. I hope that I would say I would rather everything burn down and them respect me and me love them, than compromise that. Yeah. Yeah.
Years ago, I had this conviction. I have 13 nieces and nephews, and we would occasionally have students who, oh yeah, my uncle's a priest. You're like, okay. And I almost always ask them, oh, were you close? Or that question of, has he helped you, know the Lord? I mean, I'd say it a better way than that, hopefully. And a lot of times the answer would be, not really. He's really busy. And I remember thinking,
are you saying you're afraid they would say that? Or
that's what the students would say. Okay. Like, hey, your uncle's a priest, do you know him really well? Are you guys close?
Yep.
And like, no, he's just busy. I mean, so, he'd always show up on Easter Sunday afternoon, or we'd see him the 2 days after Christmas, that kind of thing. And, but a lot of times not having made a spiritual impact on their spiritual lives. And so I remember having this thought of like, I don't want that to be what my nieces and nephews say. I mean, it would be horrible if there's these other people who, I mean, hopefully I'm helping them, but the ones that have a place in my heart that's so unique, that I was like, oh yeah, my uncle's a priest too, kind of a thing. I would never. And so I decided maybe 15 years ago, like, okay, how do I do that? How do I have an impact? Gratefully, I'm so thankful as the director of youth ministry for the diocese, I get to run a bunch of retreats and camps. And so the first half have gone through our retreats and camps. And so it's been an incredible opportunity for at least 1 week a summer. I get to just be with them and see them as their like relationship with the Lord unfolds and grows. And they go through this camp, and then they've been junior counselors and adult counselors and adult staff. And I actually, one of my nieces is on campus with me for the last couple of years. This is her senior year. And it's one of those like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. But then also I have some nieces and nephew in North Carolina who I don't get to see very often. And it was one of the kind of, you top 10, 20 texts ever. The two oldest individually, it might be a year apart, had texted saying, hey, Uncle Mike, I was just looking up something on the internet and I saw so many videos and I've been watching them for the last 10 hours. And I just, thanks a lot.
Come on.
And I was like, oh my gosh, Lord, thank you for that, because it's just, I just.
Bananas.
So that part of it is like, oh Lord, thank you so much. Thank you for, those are some people that I don't get to be in their lives on a regular basis, but thank you for using this technology so that I can add some value. I don't know.
What's your most popular video?
I think, Why a Catholic, Not Just Christian might be one of them.
Yeah.
I know Bruce Jenner was the first one that had more views.
Yeah.
I just remember that because it was slightly controversial. And
is there a video that you've recorded that you were surprised did so well?
I don't know.
It's fun. I ask that because sometimes we'll post something and I'll go, well, this isn't going to do very well, but that's okay. And then you're like, whoa, why did that do so well?
Yeah.
And then other things you're like, this is
so
perfect.
important.
Everything about this is perfect and nothing.
Yeah, I don't know.
How many times have you read the Bible in a year for your podcast? Twice?
Once.
Okay.
Yeah, so we...
Well, how come the second time? I thought the second time, was it the same recordings?
Yeah.
Was it exactly the same?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so...
But they just release them.
Yeah, so every year you can start fresh, that kind of sense.
Okay, but they don't have the whole backlog there at once. It looks like they upload them one day at a time.
No,
I've got this completely wrong.
So you might. So
what is a podcast?
So there's these things called microphones, and the recorded it in 2020. We're released in 2021, I think, and so coming up on the 5th year anniversary of it. But you can, like, on the Ascension app or the Hallow app, you can whatever. So I listen on Ascension, and so whenever I open it up, it's right where I left off, and so it's all there. If I want to jump ahead or jump back, I want to hear myself read the Gospel of John, just go to that day. But I have to listen.
People jump into the car and you go, shh, I'm listening to me read the Gospel of John.
No, I have to listen at 1.5 speed at least, because or else how you don't like, I don't know if you're like this, I don't like the sound of my own voice. And so if I listen,
you've got a great voice.
Thanks for saying that. If I speed it up, then I can pretend it's someone else and then just kind of get through it without
me on Ritalin. My goodness, what a gift our Lord has really used that. Yeah, he's really used that, and it's reached so many people. Really, hasn't it?
One of the things that
were you shocked?
I've been reflecting on this lately, where I can listen. I have some critiques over my ums. I think I say way too often, but I can listen, and it was 4-ish years ago that I don't feel like I own it. It's like, yeah, I'm so grateful that I got to be part of that and got to do that. But it's now it's made, and now God can keep using it. And I don't have to give it ownership, if that's the right way to say it, that it's, if it does well or it doesn't do well, weighs less because I don't possess it. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I think so.
But it's all done. The catechism's all done. And so because of that...
so the catechism as well, yeah.
Yeah. And so because of that, I love the fact that people are listening, and I'm listening. But yeah, without a sense of holding on to it.
That's great. What a gift. What a gift.
And I didn't anticipate that.
Yeah.
But I'm really grateful for it because
when did you realize... Because, I mean, I know that they've done the catechism in a year, they've done the rosary in a year now. But when did you realize, because yours was the first thing they did in a year, when did you realize, this could be bigger than I thought?
I think right in January, right away, I think I got a text or messages from the Ascension people saying, hey, it's number one. I'm like, okay. No, it's number, and and I thought, wow, okay. Well, I have a lot more to record still. So even that, I think.
Oh, that would have been so much pressure for me. I tend to be very good at sprints, very bad at marathons. So they would do well never to ask me to do anything like this.
It was a marathon.
Yeah.
Both of them were, and I'm really grateful for it. I learned a lot.
Truthfully is a groundbreaking Catholic AI app built to help you know, live, and defend the Catholic faith with clarity and confidence. Whether you're navigating a tough conversation, deepening your understanding, or looking for daily spiritual guidance, Truthfully is your companion on the journey. It's like if ChatGPT went through OCIA, got baptized, and made it its mission to proclaim the truth of the Catholic Church. But Truthfully is more than just a Q&A tool. It's formation in your pocket. Take audio courses on topics like the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Eucharist, Purgatory, and why the Catholic Church is the one founded by Jesus Christ. Each course is designed to be accessible, engaging, and deeply rooted in the teachings of the Church. You'll also receive daily audio reflections, short, powerful meditations to help you grow in prayer and stay grounded in your spiritual life. Already downloaded by thousands of people worldwide, Truthfully is transforming the way we learn, share, and live our faith. One question, one course, and one prayer at a time. Start your 7-day free trial today. Download Truthfully on the App Store. What did you learn?
I learned... there is a backlog of information that goes all the way back to what I learned about the Bible as a child through listening to cassette tapes in high school, to classes in college, to seminary, to, a huge debt to Jeff Cavins, because I remember the first time I ever really thought, I kind of understand the Bible, was after I had a bachelor's in theology, an MA in theology and scripture in seminary, and then went through one of his Great Adventure Bible. I thought, wow, now I get it. So, but the fact that there was so much, it was kind of like Slumdog Millionaire in the sense of there was always something like, I remember hearing this, or I remember learning this. I remember someone teaching me this almost every day. And just that fact of it, constant exposure and trying to learn and how many people affect you and form you over the course of a lifetime, and then having to put it out and capture it in 365 days, realizing so many of these thoughts are not mine. I got this when I was in 6th grade, and Mrs. Johnson was teaching us religious ed on Wednesday night, that kind of thing.
And did you have a limit for each podcast? Did they say we want to?
No. So my idea was that we do the catechism and Bible at the same time. So the initial email when I reached out to them was, let's do the Bible and catechism in a year.
That's a lot.
And they said, great idea. Let's do one at a time. And I was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
And someone had done a word count of the whole Bible and then divided it by 365.
Yeah.
And said, okay, so each day is going to be at least this many words. And then they figured it out how to put it all together. Her name is Lindsay. She's genius. I think it took her 4 days. She went to her apartment and she just said, okay, here's the Bible timeline.
Wow.
Here's all the words. Here's all the books. Here's how they can fit. And she showed it to Jeff, and Jeff was like, okay, move this and this. Otherwise, it's great.
So forgive me, because I don't know. I haven't done it. My wife has. She loved it. Did you read from Genesis 1 to the end of Revelation, or did you read them chronologically in the way Jeff lays them out?
The way Jeff does it. And so it's with the narrative books.
Yeah.
And then with the other non-narrative books or the supplemental
what
books.
A wonderful idea.
Teamed up with it. And one thing that, again, I just think of God's providence in this and how we worked through Lindsay, who works at Ascension, to do all of this, how much it fit. We do Job right away. So the first month you're doing Genesis and Job, which sets you up for the next 11 months of, okay, I can trust God. Like, this is the heart of all of this is we're not shying away from there's suffering in this world, there's evil in this world, God is still good, and yet sometimes we have no idea why horrible things are happening. But if I'm going to be like Job, I'll realize that I can still trust him. He's still good. And it set the tone for the entire rest of the year. And I'm so grateful. I would never have thought of that.
My family are reading the narrative books over the course of 3 months right now. So shout out to Ascension Dr. Jeff Cavins. Is he a doctor? I don't know. Jeff Cavins, Mr. Jeff Cavins, for putting that together. They have a beautiful, is it lamb skin or some, some beautiful animal that they're slaughtering to put this together. But it is glorious.
Their premium Bible. It's really nice. Yeah,
it's really good. Still don't like the stamp in the Bible. Feels like a teen Bible. All right, that's my only critique. Ascension. I know they watch. So my only critique is that stamp. I don't like the imprint, but I love it. It's so beautiful, and my wife and I use it, and we love it, and we're so grateful. Yeah, it's really cool that the Catholics got the #1 podcast, and it happened to be Bible in a Year, and it's not a Protestant.
Yeah,
I don't think people say that anymore, and you're partly responsible for this, right? That the Catholics don't read the Bible. You're like, well, we have the #1. You remember that? That's nice.
No, I'm great. That's a thing. I remember, gosh, and I just think of all of the people that went into that.
Yeah.
And I mean, going back to when I would listen to Scott Hahn's conversion story in high school, or Father Larry Richards, or who else? So many people that my mom would have these cassettes of, and I just think, wow, I'm so grateful. It's a small microcosm of the inheritance we have as Catholics is, okay, just in my lifetime, the inheritance that I've received from people who are still alive. And I think of the heroes, Father Benedict Rochelle, who's so influential.
Peter Kraft,
so influential. Archbishop, come on, Bishop Fulton Sheen.
Okay, I thought that's what you were going to say, but he wasn't in our lifetime.
Flynn, Archbishop Flynn was in St. Paul, Minneapolis. I mean, Fulton Sheen, he was also great. But some of those, C.S. Lewis, these people that...
How beautiful, what an honor to be able to carry the baton. I mean, Bishop Barron's doing it, you're doing it. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, what a gift. Yeah. In regard to new Catholics, because you've said that you do have increasing amounts of men, maybe in particular?
I think across the board.
Okay, so men and women coming.
Yeah.
What advice do you give them when they start getting serious, maybe after they've completed OCIA, maybe they're Catholic and they're reverting? What advice do you have for new Catholics?
One thing I always will say is this is... if a person comes to, I wonder what you would say about this. So I'm going to say something and bat it back to you. I'm convinced, but I could be swayed, that if a person comes to the conclusion, okay, I know God exists. I know Jesus is God. I know that he established the church. In that, I also know that he's given us confession for when we have failed. When we've sinned. If I know all these things, the only weapon the devil has left is discouragement. Like, the only real way that he can get me off of the path, the only way he can get me to a place where, his only weapon left is I'm tired of my weakness. I'm tired of asking God for help. I'm tired of needing grace so much. So one of the things I will often highlight in our OCIA program during it, but also after, and even for all of our students, is that just beware of discouragement, because I think that's the only weapon he has left. But what do you think?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's tough to deal with yourself.
Yeah.
Especially when you try to be good. I think it was C.S. Lewis who said that, right? That it's anyone who has tried to be good realizes how ungood they are or bad they are. And so you have to deal with your broken, what do I say? Your disordered passions that are leading you in all sorts of directions. And then you become discouraged at seeing yourself falling so low yet again. And sin makes you stupid. It clouds the intellect. And I don't know. I'm sure there's more to be said, but I think you're right. Discouragement is a big one of them. Yeah.
And I would say, I was talking with
what advice do you give then? Because you say, okay, discouragement, but then what do you do with that?
I was talking with my priest fraternity group, just 4 guys, and I was sharing the other night that Sunday nights are often the worst for me, and because we have Sunday night mass with the students, and what do I mean by worst? My experience of Sunday nights after everyone leaves is I often feel really defeated, and that sense of like, I didn't do it right. Like I didn't say it the right way. I didn't have the patience with people making noise, or I didn't have the some people walked by after mass and I didn't get a chance to like really let them know that, okay, I see you. I'm glad you're here, Matt, that kind of thing. Or whatever it is. I mean, there's all these areas where genuinely I usually stand outside, bye, talk to people, and I walk back into the church because on Sunday nights we use a nearby church while we're on campus, and I walk down the aisle, and oftentimes it's just like, God, I'm sorry, and it's this overwhelming feeling of being defeated, I would say.
Why do you think that happens on Sundays in particular? Is it because it's the end of the week and you're reflecting on the whole week, or is it Sunday in particular?
I think it's because I put a lot of time into Sunday homilies. And so if I don't think that was what they needed, or I don't know if that was what I should have said or how I should have said it. Like I'm kind of self-critical about that in particular, which is one of the reasons why, as I was sharing it with the guys, I was saying, but I believe that all discouragement is rooted in pride. Because, and one of the guys was like, no, but you want to be excellent though. You want to do something that honors God. And I'm like, yeah, all that's true. But also I believe that all discouragement really is rooted in pride. So I'm discouraged if I sin. Why? Because I wanted to be better. Or I'm discouraged when I failed to be excellent or whatever the thing is. Why? Because I wanted to be better. And there's that sense of,
and then sometimes it's that others saw me not being good.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
All
pride
those
again.
things was pride again. And if it was merely like, I wanted to be excellent. Okay, try again next time. I'll pick it up. But the discouragement comes from that place of, I'm in need. I don't want to be in need. Even it's that sense of sometimes people don't, I'm wrestling with this repeated sin and I don't want this in my life anymore. And sometimes it's because I really genuinely want to be virtuous. And sometimes it's because I want to be healed of this so I don't have to be so dependent on God's grace like I am. I don't want to have to keep asking for help. And so I would say that, okay, if Satan's only tool left is discouragement, again, I'm not immune to it. The remedy is, okay, I know that discouragement comes from pride, so I just have to be humbled. And I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising to see how many spiritual authors write about this. And Francis de Sales, I'm thinking of in particular, he says, never lose peace when considering your own imperfections. I forget what else he says, but that's, I think, a direct quote. Thérèse of Lisieux, on her deathbed at 24, said, it's not because of my lack of mortal sin that I go to God with confidence, even if I had on my conscience all the sins creatures can commit. I am sure that I would lose none of my confidence. You know, like that's good. That's sort of self-agitation, hatred, disappointment. I feel it here, hey, like as I interview you or as I interview other people, and I think, why can't I get words out of my mouth correctly? They seem to do it well. Why can't I do it? And then I feel a little embarrassed or something like that. But how do I bring all of that to the good Jesus who doesn't love me because of the times I'm articulate, and just be naked before him? Yeah. And receive his love. But no, I 100% agree that, I don't like seeing myself low. I don't like seeing myself not brilliant. I don't like that at all. Yeah, I want to be brilliant, and I want everybody else to think I am too. You know, something like that. Yeah, golly. Yeah,
I agree. There's I will tell you after this, on the drive, I'll be like, I shouldn't have. That's so dumb. I hope they edit that or whatever the thing is.
We won't.
Because that, it's, again, that sense of where does it come from? It comes from pride. And the only remedy.
Which is an exhausting load to have to carry. Because it's me trying to make myself apart from the Father. That's a heavy load to carry.
And I can't be myself. If this is the truth about me at this point.
Yeah.
So Father Romano Guardini.
Okay, yeah.
Have you ever read his book, The Virtues That Lead You to God?
No.
So the Lord is one of his big one.
Yeah.
But The Virtues That Lead You to God, don't want to give it away, but I'll give it away because it's so good. Every chapter is another virtue, but they're not like the main virtues. One of the virtues he has is acceptance.
Okay.
And it is like, well, acceptance, okay. And he says, this is the very first virtue. If you don't have this, you will never grow spiritually. And that acceptance is, okay, this is where I am. Like, this is who I am. This is the one that the Lord redeemed. Yeah. This is the one he currently loves.
Yes.
And that I might share this tomorrow with the group that I'm doing a talk, but I'm so moved by this. I remember the book Hatchet? Do you guys read that in Australia?
Yeah, I read it.
So the kid crashes, or the plane crashes, and he finds himself lost in the wilderness. My sister Amy was reading this book to her son Max, her oldest son, when he was, we'll say 6. I don't know however old you are when your parents read a book like that to you. And there's a scene in the book where David,
I don't remember.
The kid, he finds himself alone and hungry and cold and wet because it's raining. And it says something like, and he just sat there and cried and cried and cried. And when he got done crying, he looked up and he was still hungry and still cold and still wet. And all that crying had done him no good. And he knew he had to start moving. And my sister stopped and said, okay, Max, do you see that? Crying doesn't help. Oh. And so, but it was that sense of, okay, I have to accept the fact that here's where I am. Yeah. I'm hundreds of miles from civilization, and I can hate the fact that here's where I am.
Yeah.
Or I can say, okay, this is where
after I've done hating it, I'll find myself here. I
have to say, I'm still here. So if I want to not be here, then I have to start moving. But I can't actually start moving until I accept the fact that here's where I'm at. Yeah. So acceptance, Guardini says, acceptance isn't complacency in that sense of, well, this is just me, I guess. It's okay, I know this is about me, but I also know that the Lord wants to sanctify every part of my life. And there's a destination, heaven, you mentioned before, he wants for me. And I will never get anywhere until I say, okay, but this is who I am right now. And this is where I am right now. And now just that. But who I am right now, that's the who that God loves.
That's right.
And there's this.
God doesn't love the you that you wish you were, because the you that you wish you were doesn't exist. And he can't love things that don't exist.
Exactly.
It's just big, fat, awkward you.
Yeah.
Always breaking resolutions, rarely keeping them you.
He's not surprised.
There's
nothing surprising about your heart and your actions to God.
Yeah,
that sense
good.
of, knew it. Knew it way before you knew it.
Knew it, double knew it.
And still died for you. And still chose you. And still wants you. And that sense of, I mean, just that, you mentioned that, you know, that God doesn't love the better version of you because that version of you isn't real, doesn't exist. Also, I keep coming back to this place of, shoot, I had it, and then the version, who you are right now is who you are.
Yeah, that's good.
And who I am right now is who I am.
You want to be or not. This is what we got.
You're right.
A hatchet. And it's raining. Yeah.
And there's something about that just, I live oftentimes in it's kind of like when you're talking to someone who, well, hear me before the back surgery or the shoulder, like, oh yeah, I was doing such and such. I remember this so many years ago, one of my first years on campus, I went to a track meet with one of our students, and we were watching the 400 ran, and that was my kind of my race in high school and beyond. And so I timed it, just wanted to see how the guys were doing. And I hit the stopwatch and I looked at the guy and I was like, I would have won that race. And he looked at me and said, today? Like, no,
not today.
10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, not today. But we can hold on to that. Like, well, I used to be whatever.
Yeah.
Or I want to someday be whatever, as opposed to and who I am right now is who I am.
It is funny how the advice that we've heard so often, we're so quick to dismiss because it's not novel. It doesn't stimulate us in the same way that some crazy idea does. Like my wife wearing nicotine patches for health. Like, that's wild. Why is she doing that? She's never smoked a day in her life. She's gone down some rabbit hole. I feel like we're always attracted to the novel. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying the novel doesn't work, but like the meat diet, just do that. Like, this is what'll fix everything.
Right.
But the advice, like, hey, God loves you as you are, and too much to leave you that way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. What else you got for me?
Yeah.
Tell me, what's the 3 steps I gotta? Do you find that the advice, if you give advice at all on dating and relationships, do you find that the advice you give today is different to the advice you may have given as a priest 15 years ago?
Yes. Yes, I found I've always been hesitant to give advice.
On anything or?
On some things, yes. On dating for sure. Because, I don't know, I've done enough marriage prep. I love it. Marriage prep is one of my favorite things to do as a priest.
Yeah.
But I would say there are many times when I think, I don't know. They're sitting across the table from me and I'm like, wow, this is, and then here we are 15 years later and I'm thinking, wow, they have an amazing marriage. Wow.
Yeah.
And I talk to people who, I can think of a number of different couples, but one in particular just came to my mind. And I will now have students who have been affected by this couple and their family and say, oh yeah, so-and-so and so-and-so, they're the best ever. They're so, they invite us into their homes, into their family. And I think that's great. That's really good news because
I did not see that coming.
I sat at the table and said, you guys, you don't have to get married, So
yeah, it's hard to see. Yeah, not to quote Gandalf, not even the wise see all ends.
Exactly. Yeah. So there are some things that I would say now, I'm more not quick. I feel more free to be able to have that conversation of if I see that we're really in marriage prep. If they're really stuck on this thing and we haven't moved forward. I think that when they return to an issue again and again, but there's progress, like that's great. You don't have to be resolved in a weekend or a week or 3 weeks. The fact that you're moving forward, that means you're learning how to do this kind of thing. But there's some times where I just think I have to say it, and I'll just say, guys, you don't have to get married. What if I just threw this out here? What if I threw out that June 6th? Let's just not have a wedding that day. What would you guys say? I don't want to say it like that. I'll try to not be so abrasive or caustic. But
what's the most surprising or interesting answer you've received to something like that?
Well, I think what's the most surprising or interesting?
I guess what I'm asking is, have you ever seen their shoulders relax and they just sort of go, oh, thank God?
There have been times, there have been a lot of time, if I've not said that very, very often, there is okay, let's reset and ask that question. Most times it's, oh no, but we really, really want to get married. Like we want to spend our lives together. And so my question is not meant to say, I don't think you should get married. It's, if you need permission to not, I want to give you permission to not. But if you want to, then you get to choose again.
It's a very clarifying question.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean it as a clarifying. I'm glad you said that. I mean it as a clarifying question, not as I'm putting up an obstacle or I'm putting up like, here's my vote for you too. It's more, you have permission. You don't have to. And most times it's, we talked about it. We really want to. This is what we want. We want to spend our lives together. We want to raise a family together. Like, great.
Yeah.
Then let's go. So
I'm weird. I sometimes the way I appreciate my children is to imagine that there's a time machine that goes back in time, but the only side effect is you won't know you're back there. This is very Andy Bernard, last episode of The Office thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes if I'm like struggling with my children, I'm laying in bed, but I just want to go be with my wife or something, I think maybe this is one of those times. Like I have these weird ways of appreciating things.
Describe it more.
Yeah, so there's a time machine. You can go back in time. But when you're back there, you will not know that you took the time machine back.
You experience it as the present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get back to I hadn't thought that through. And so I'll be laying with my son or my daughter or something, and I'll think, maybe this is one of those times. And then it'll help me to look for the nice thing in it. Another thing I do is I'll remind myself there will be a last time your child asks you to do X.
Yeah.
You won't know when that last time is. Right? Can you lay with me? You will not know. It will come and you won't know what. So when that happens, I try to think this is the last time. All right. So this sounds a bit sappy maybe, but I do this thing with my wife. I don't even know if she knows this or would care because she's just extroverted and crazy. If we're at a party or something like that, or like we'll be at a wedding maybe, I'll think to myself, what if I never had the guts to propose to her? And now here we are 20 years later and we bump into each other at this party, right?
Yeah.
I would be so angry with myself for wasting the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's great, yeah.
I really mean that. I mean, it nearly brings me to tears. I just think, gosh, because I could have, right? I was dating and I don't know, there was parts of me that's like, I don't know, maybe not. Like maybe there's something better I could be doing. Maybe I could become a priest. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this idea that like, well, what if we just, then what was this last 20 years? Like maybe you dated and I dated and so I'm like, oh, gosh, I'm so glad I married her. I really am. So I guess the reason I brought that up is I would imagine when you say to them, you don't have to do this, it would give them the freedom to say yes.
Yeah.
Not just the freedom to say no. But
exactly.
Oh, good. But yes, we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but what about like college students and dating?
Like
That's what I am increasingly of the opinion that I know nothing about dating today. I used to. I know. People were grateful for my advice, Father. Now I talk to them and they look at me like, you have no idea what's happening. So
I would say, yes and no, in the sense of I did a wedding this last summer where I shared with the congregation and with the couple that I rarely, said this a couple times in weddings, I rarely have an opinion on the couple when they start dating. When I hear that Johnny and Elizabeth have started dating, like, okay, great. I'm not involved in this. I'm staying out of it. But sometimes like, oh, I really hope this works because I like those two, that kind of thing. So it's very rare because I see it. They start, they stop. Some other people, I'm like, great. It's how it goes. This is, so if anyone ever asks me, here's an example. Of just knowing that if something seems kind of weird, to be able to say, yeah, that's don't do that. There was a young man who he was dating this young woman because he recognized her virtue. She's a good person pursuing the Lord, holiness, but he wasn't physically attracted to her. He was convinced that,
funny,
but if I'm noble, that shouldn't matter.
And if he were nobler, he would find the most repulsive woman possible who is not only virtuous, but not attractive, but vicious. I'm just joking.
No, but that was the mentality.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, that doesn't seem right, but I don't know enough to correct you on that
She'll
kind
be
of thing.
thrilled when she finds that out.
And so now, and it didn't work out, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
But it was a situation, and now they're both very happily married to other people who are attracted to each other, that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, now if someone were to tell me that, I'd say that's stupid. Stop.
Yeah, okay. That's good advice. If you're not attracted to them, don't date them.
Because out of this misplaced sense of virtue, right? Misplaced sense of...
This is obviously true, and I know you know this. Sometimes you'll meet someone and you're not attracted to them, and then you get to know them, and their personality just... It's not the personality, it's their body, it's their face, it's everything. It just becomes more attractive.
Yeah. Yeah, but this was one of those where he was like, I don't like the idea of kissing her is kind of like...
Obviously. We're thinking of a Josephite marriage. I haven't brought that up to her yet, but she should be cool with it. She's virtuous.
But I'm trying to think of, there is, it's so strange.
Like, are people fornicating today like they were in the 90s? Or are they just watching porn?
Oops, sorry. It is yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. It all depends. Yeah. There is... situationships where just now you happen to be here, I happen to be here. And so we're going to do all of the things that a couple does without really considering ourselves a couple. We'll do all the things married couples do without having a real commitment of dating. Yeah. And that's going to be okay, right? I guess.
I'm sure. No way that'll end poorly.
And so that is a common thing.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have, okay, so we had a ton of people come into the church last couple of years. Last year was the biggest one.
At your university?
Yeah.
Like roughly how many?
30. Five baptisms, 30 people coming into full communion with the church. And just great, awesome. We also had more engagements, not related in the sense of people who are coming in, and it's just, whoa, okay. And I mean, every other weekend was, oh, did you hear so-and-so and so-and-so are engaged?
Yeah.
Like, wow, okay, this is great. At, 19, 20, 23. And it's, wow, okay. So that is kind of a mini trend that I've noticed, because it has been just like the number of people becoming Catholic and coming to OCIA now, this other of couples getting engaged and preparing for marriage right now. And I wonder if it's a flash in the pan, just happens to be this last 12 months, or if it marks something where there's a freedom here. Yeah, I don't know.
I've been thinking that 2025 is going to be the best year of my life. I thought that when Kamala lost, but I thought that before that too. I don't know what it is. Something about 2025 is going to be the best year. And I think it's been the best year.
Well,
for me, I've had
really?
oh my gosh, yeah, great year.
What happened?
Well, we moved to Florida because that was a year ago, I suppose. Our children are just in such a beautiful stage. People sometimes ask me, like, how do you be a good parent? And I don't know how to do that. But I think you begin by if you can like your kids, it really helps.
Yeah, I bet.
And I just like my children. That doesn't mean they don't annoy me. Yeah. It doesn't mean I don't go, stop it, But I just think they are the best. They're funny. They're cool. They make me laugh. Yeah. There was times I didn't like it. I mean, when my kids were young, I remember wishing I liked it, but not liking it. And then wasn't sure what that said about me. I just assumed that because I had understood the church's teaching on human sexuality and that I wasn't like cheating on my wife or whatever, I thought like, oh, I got this. I will be good at this. I didn't like it at all. And I'd go to, what didn't I like about it? To be fair, we lived in a very remote part of Ireland, and one of our children was very colicky. Beautiful kid, but very colicky, and we were up all night. Jason Everett reminds me sleep deprivation is a form of torture, right? And this is what's taking place. And so I just remember talking to other dads and trying to get them to agree with me that it was hard, like really hard.
Yeah.
But and I really thought at least one of them would. And they didn't. And I don't think they were lying, but they would always, they would say things like this, maybe, but they would say things like, yeah, it is hard, but isn't it a blessing? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I guess so, but I haven't experienced that yet. I only say that to counterbalance what I'm saying right now. I don't know. My wife loves little babies and would love more. Unfortunately, we can't have any because of her health stuff. And who knows, maybe the Lord will call us to adopt, but I love the teenage years. I love staying up with the kids at night and joking with them and talking to them. I really like it. Yeah. Yeah, so 2025 has been the best year.
That's incredible. And I also want to go back to what you mentioned about like not liking parts of it. That makes so much sense. Because it's really hard.
What I said about being young,
Yeah, it's just really hard.
It's really hard. I mean, you're with this woman, and in my case, she was really cool. We liked doing all the same things. This is back when DVD shops were a thing.
Yeah.
We were living in Ireland. We had no kids. We would go and buy like the DVD box set of 24.
Yeah.
And we would watch the entire thing within 3 days, like one more, and just drinking Irish tea, eating cookies, and loving life. You know, my point is, whatever I wanted to do, she basically wanted to do. It was very rarely that she was like, I don't want to do that. So we would just do that because we loved the same things.
Yeah.
And then you have this child come in, or children come in, and they don't really care what you want to do. And that was a lot. I think I became aware very quickly of how selfish I was.
Right.
But I didn't want to beat myself up about that either, because beating yourself up when you're sad because you're selfish, I'm not sure how productive that is. So
I think your willingness to just be honest about that. I'm shocked. I'm surprised that other dads, you didn't find one who'd be like, yeah, it's tough. I just want to be honest about that. It's really hard. I don't know. It's like when someone says,
I would have loved that. I would have felt so less alone.
Did you have fun? Like, I don't know. It's work.
And then I remember driving down the road, I was listening to Kimberly Hahn. This is back in 2008 or 9. And she's talking about like, maybe the Lord wants us to populate heaven with more children. And I'm like, I'm sure that's true, but please stop right now, because I'm not in a place to hear this. So I only say that. It's good that people are okay with where they are.
Yeah.
Not so that they can stay there, but just so that they can just take a breath and
even just be honest about this.
They're further ahead or different. Yeah.
Or say I'm enjoying this when I'm not enjoying it.
I said this on my episode with Jason Cristalina, but someone once said to me, never compare your inside to another person's outside. And that is so simple, but so excellent.
Yeah.
You've got no idea what's going on in their life or their marriage or their family. No idea. Or some idea, but no idea.
Yeah, some idea, but no idea.
Yeah.
Not really, yeah.
Dr. Matt Brunnen just said to me, he's a therapist. He's like, Matt, I'm telling you, dude, this is how he talks. Dude, listen, bro, 100% listen. People can send this to Matt. You scratch anyone's life and there is shit there. I'm telling you, like as a therapist who's dealt with, we're all dealing with stuff.
It's confession, similar.
Yeah.
That sense of, man, it's... Like you said, everyone's dealing with stuff. Yeah. And,
do you hate when you realize that you've got nothing good to say to the person who's beat down in confession, and you want to be inspiring and you want to give them hope and you're giving everything you got, all the fantastic quotes and advice, and you feel like it's not landing? Or?
So when I was a seminarian, one of the biggest fears of being a priest was hospitals. Mm-hmm. I grew up in hospitals because my dad, physician, my mom was a nurse before she became a stay-at-home mom. And so we would go to the hospital all the time. Mm. And so it wasn't like a matter of like, oh gosh, sick people, whatever. It was the experience of like when we accompanied my dad to the hospital, we'd go on rounds with him. And so what's that mean? That means he walks into a patient's room and we kind of stand in the doorway or maybe like slightly in the room, and I have nothing to offer. I'm just taking up space.
Yeah.
In your private,
I
whatever.
might be irritating you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I have nothing to give you. There's nothing. And he's supposed to be here. My dad's supposed to be here, but I'm not supposed to. And so even as a seminarian, we have a thing called Clinical Pastoral Education, CPE, where you are a chaplain at a hospital for a summer. And it was very stretchy, but that was the experience of I'm walking into this room and I don't know if I have anything that you need. Because, I have Jesus, but what do you mean I have Jesus? Can I articulate well enough in your time of sickness or pain or loss or whatever the thing is? Is there anything that I can say that I have to give that is substantial enough, significant? And then when I was a deacon, I was able to bring Holy Communion to people in the hospital. And it's like, now we have something to offer. That's not just me. Mm. And then as a priest, to be able to offer the anointing of the sick or confession or communion, it's like, okay, now I have something to give. So similarly, if someone comes to confession, there is a point at which I realize I'm going to stop talking right now. And I'm just going to remind you of the reason you're here is because God is doing a miracle in your life right now where he's convicted you of your sin. He's also convicted you that you can trust him. He's convicted you that he loves you, and that's why you're here. Those two reasons. So receive that love. Here's your penance.
I think that's great. Yeah, I can honestly say, like, as a penitent, as someone who comes to confession, I know you go to confession as well, so maybe you have the same experience. Really, I don't, and you know this, like, I'm not looking for like an inspirational pick-me-up. I don't even want it. I just want to confess my sins and be forgiven, you know? And and certainly there are times that I've been very gratified, but it's really more the welcoming attitude of the priest who's not just deeply scandalized by my sins.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
It's like another human being to look at you and find you somewhat acceptable, you know, not to be totally disgusted.
There has been two movements in confession for me, one on either end of it. The first was something a priest had shared when I was going to confession, and he had said something about compartmentalization, and he said one thing I don't know how he said it, but he essentially the message that he passed on to me was compartmentalizing your life in the sense of when I've sinned, God loves me less. When I'm here and being forgiven, he loves me more. And he's like, Mike, God loves all of you, not just these parts. And it was like something, of course I know this, but I just, oh my gosh, wow, I kind of, even though I know that's not true, sometimes the story that's playing is like that. So that was really helpful. That was, a piece of it. But what's been striking me a lot lately is in the prayer of absolution. I remember reading something that Fulton Sheen had said so many years ago. He said, a paraphrase, that he said, sometimes priests get so used to giving absolution that we forget that the blood of Christ is dripping from our fingers as we extend our hands over the penitent and give absolution. And so I always think of that. But recently, it's been that sense. I've just been meditating more and more on the cross and the passion of Jesus, and that sense of it's only because of what he's done that here is this hand extended, that this is actually it's almost like a reflection as the confessor on what it is to be in persona Christi, like that this is, it's not my inflection. It's not this, memorized words. This is somehow
real
in this
power.
Mysterious way, real power.
Yeah, it's like when you say the name of Jesus and you trust in the power of the name.
And it's just, I just take a back seat. And that sense of, like you asked about, do you feel like pressure to what am I going to give? I just realized, I've been actually overwhelmed in the last month or so by that sense of, through the ministry of the church, that God give you that sense of, not me. And it's been awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for hearing confessions.
Oh, it's one of my favorite things.
Is it? Yeah. Thank you to every priest. I mean, there's so many good priests out there who are, as you say, just ministering to the people of God. And it's so beautiful. I think that must be one of the most attractive things about Catholicism to non-Catholics. It's got to be. What a beautiful thing it is. Yeah. What advice do you give to someone who wants to develop a kind of daily prayer rule or a prayer life?
It's funny. I was thinking about this on the way down today, but thinking about it in relation to, you were going to ask about exercise. And I was thinking, the more and more I reflect on habits, momentum really matters. That sense of, if I lost momentum in exercising or in praying, an object at rest tends to stay at rest, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. And that sense of, okay, just go, just start. And it's really hard to start. I thought, I think there are some people, myself included, who could benefit from hearing that, it's really hard to start. And that's actually the most difficult part, I would say. The most difficult thing to do is to start. And the second most difficult thing to do is my friend Father Ben would always say, the hardest day to pray is the day after the day you don't pray. And so it's just that sense of it's constantly restarting, but it's easier to keep the ball rolling. So what I would say is, okay, acknowledge the fact that it's hard. B is it makes, why work against your schedule? Why work against yourself? Why not? Sometimes I have these dreams of, okay, tomorrow I'm going to get up another half hour early and do X, Y, and Z. And I envision the perfect day where I'm fully motivated and everything, as opposed to let's build this thing I want to do, whether it's prayer or anything, around my actual, who I am. In that sense of, yeah, if I get up early, then maybe that's when I should pray. If I really have a tough time getting up early, maybe my prayer starts at 8 rather than at 5:30 or whatever the thing is. And so why not, first step being acceptance, why not work with yourself rather than against yourself? That's something. What do you think?
About that or about, yeah. Well, okay, what do I think about that? Yeah, I mean, obviously that sounds like a good idea. I think there's a sense in which we have to impose things upon ourselves, but I don't think we should underestimate how crappy we are at sticking to something, at being faithful to a resolution. Like, no, you're the worst. Just assume that. And then I really like Peterson's advice, and there's different ways of saying it, right? You've heard, don't let the great be the enemy of the good, or that sort of thing. I like how Peterson puts it. What's something you could do that you actually would do? That's the key. Yeah. That would make your life better. Because if you ask yourself, well, in regards to my prayer life, what's something I could do that would make my spiritual life better? That's not a helpful question, because there's so many answers to that. Right. But look at you. You wouldn't do any of them. Maybe not even for a day, you know? And that's okay. So let's have an honest conversation. Yeah. What's something you could do that you actually would do? You as you. Yeah, you as you. And it can be pathetic and it can be embarrassingly simple. Just give me anything, right? And I really like starting there. And so someone might say, or I might suggest, could you put a crucifix by your bed? And when you wake up in the morning, could you kneel down and kiss it and tell Jesus that you love him? I don't know if I could do that. All right, well, what could you do, you lazy bastard? Right. Well, maybe I wouldn't kneel down, but I could probably kiss it. All right, we'll do that. Yeah. Could you pray a rosary a day? Maybe. I don't know if I could. All right, could you do the Angelus? Yeah. No? All right. Well, could you do a Hail Mary? And again, it's not because the person might feel very bad about saying no, but it's like, no, just be very honest and then start there. And then, I don't know, write that down and commit to it for a week at least. That's a good idea, I think. Yeah, I think that I like the idea of having both. This is my ideal. And then also having my maximum is my minimum. Yeah. Like, here's what I could do on the best day. Yeah. I would love to be able to pray a rosary as well as liturgy of the hours, daily mass. Yeah. Okay, great. My ceiling? What's my floor? That's good. In that sense of saying, okay, what's the minimum? So when I was in high school, my minimum was, I think it was one Our Father, Glory Be, and Hail Mary. Beautiful. And then I think I would, there's this prayer, I don't know if you've ever heard of the prayer to spiritually adopt an unborn baby in danger of abortion. Heard of it. And I would pray that 5 times because I was like, well, if I can adopt one, I'll adopt 5. And so I was like, okay, I'll do that. But that was, even on my worst day, as I'm going to sleep, I can pray an Our Father, Hail Mary, Glory Be, and then these 5 of these this very short prayer. And to have something like that, that's just like, wait, this is my floor, this is my ceiling. I can always do this even if I'm the biggest schmuck who've ever lived. Yeah. Before I go to sleep, I can, No, that's really good. And And it was meaningful to me in that sense of like, it was, because this is one of the traps we fall into. We fall into the trap of, like you mentioned, the greatest enemy of the good, or the perfectest enemy of the good enough, or I talk to so many people so often, they're like, okay, I fell into grave sin, and so I haven't prayed since. Oh, yeah. And that sense of, okay, because, I'm spiritually dead. I'm kind of, come on. Again, but the Lord's grace is still operative. Discouragement, right? Yeah, exactly. And so that sense of, but you realize every time you continue to raise your eyes to the Lord, regardless of
your state of your soul, it's always grace. You're saying yes, and that's an act of virtue. You're growing. It's not as if nothing's happening there. And so that sense of, even at the end of the day, I have a choice. I can pray one Our Father, glory be, Hail Mary, and these other prayers, or I can just say no. And saying yes actually matters. And that's, I think sometimes, I know I've been tempted to believe that it doesn't matter because it's so small.
Yeah.
But it matters everything.
Another thing I think is helpful to say is we tend not to do things we think we are bad at, especially as we get older. We shy away from those things that might expose our poverty or our impotence in a particular area. So if we go to prayer and it feels like we're not doing it right, whatever we think prayer should be like, we'll probably stop doing that thing. So I also give myself permission for prayer to be distracted. And what I don't mean is I go in trying to be distracted,
Right.
But I accept that I'm weak and I know I'll end up thinking about other things. And that's going to have to be okay. Because if it's not okay, then I'll never begin.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay to say, well, I'm going to pray, I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to try to surrender to Jesus, and I'll do it poorly, but I'll do it, I actually really love John Eldridge. I've had him on the show recently. If you haven't watched it, golly, man, I've gotten to know him somewhat after. He's the best. He has this idea of like practicing 1 Peter 5:7, cast your anxiety upon the Lord for he cares for you. And this idea of how do I do that? Like, what does that look like? And he's got this little formula, if you want to put it that way, where you say, you just sort of turn the posture of your heart to the good God who resides within you. And you don't get hung up on what that means or how that could possibly be the case, because you don't know how plastic works and you don't know how satellites work. So just accept it and keep moving on. And then you say something like, Father, Jesus, Holy Spirit, I give everything and everyone to you. And you just sort of repeat that, and then you name the things that you just sort of, I find that when I reflect in prayer, I just sort of go within and turn toward him, that I just sense all the stuff I'm carrying. All of a sudden, I feel it. And then I just give it over to him. And what I say to him is, Lord, I know that I'm going to take all this back from you when I'm done praying because I'm an idiot. But right now, just for this 40 seconds, could you just, I give it to you, Lord. I surrender it to you. I think that's really good, surrendering to Jesus. And there's also, and then spiritual reading is so important. I think that 2 books I would recommend to everybody watching this show and to everybody in existence, at least on earth and who's human, is I Believe in Love, which is like, I think, the death nail for scrupulosity, because it's about the mercy of God. And then also Jacques Philippe's Searching for and Maintaining Peace. Yeah. These are the books. Please get those books. They're so good. And then everything Jacques Philippe has written. Everything he does. He has a retreat on St. Therese. Yeah. What is it called? That's right. Yeah, I forget. I led our youth ministers through that book, and that was years ago, and I'll still see them carrying it and praying with it, and same with myself. Jacques Philippe, what a huge gift. You had mentioned... So Searching for and Maintaining Peace. I Believe in Love. I Believe in Love. Father Albay, right? Yeah. That's one I haven't picked up in a long time. But I just keep going back to it. I even keep going back to it just for a few paragraphs. So there's this great line, this great paragraph. He says something like, I'm not telling you believe too much in your own wretchedness. We are far more wretched than we ever believe or can imagine. What I'm telling you is you don't believe enough in merciful love. Yeah. Isn't that nice? Yeah. Because what we often do is we see our wretchedness, we're ashamed of it, and the temptation is to downplay it or to not look at it so it feels little. And he's like, no, it's worse than you think. It's worse than you think. It's just that God is better than you think. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Spiritual reading, I would, so practically speaking, your floor and your ceiling, but I would say, I mean, without a plan, again, that you can do, without a schedule, if it's haphazard, for example, here's confession, on weekends is the hardest for me to pray because weekdays, it is built into the schedule.
Monday through Friday, this is exactly when I make a holy hour. It's exactly when Mass is. Saturday, okay, well, it's kind of out. I might be traveling, might be out of the ordinary. And so when I don't have a plan is the worst. Number one is to have, so it's like anything. Just if it's not scheduled, then it doesn't get done or might get done. I just keep, and I go back to this where it is, what am I saying when I don't decide when I'm going to pray? If I say, well, when I get to it or when I have a free moment, what I'm saying is, okay, God, you get my leftovers. Essentially, you get what I don't want or you get what I don't need, as opposed to the first fruits where it's, okay, the first thing that gets scheduled is I kneel next to my bed and I kiss the crucifix and say, Jesus, I love you. Mm-hmm. If that's the plan.
What a beautiful way to start your day. Why don't we all do that?
Or even
Why don't I do that?
The morning offering, that's the first thing.
It's the best.
The first thing, just I slide out, hit the floor and pray the morning offering. Father Walter Chizek, he was just in the Magnificat talking about this. He talked about how to pray always. And he said, well, you're not meant to be in this recollected place abstractly.
Right.
But you can make a morning offering, which is indicating and saying, God, I resolve every moment of the day, everything I go through, it's all for you. And so you can remember that at various points of the day when you make that resolution at the beginning. And I just think that's so good. But it is having a plan. And I know this because I'm convicted by it. Yeah, there are some days I don't give God my first fruits. I give him my leftovers, and I don't think that is good enough.
I think that is a good idea.
No.
What book outside of the Bible has most influenced your Christian life?
Well, the I Believe in Love is very, massively. As I was thinking, as you said that, I thought, oh, wow, it's been so long since have been exposed to that. How many books? Mere Christianity has been massively important. There was a season where Wild at Heart was, it reshaped and gave me a lens for a lot of stuff that, again, you think of the stuff that lives in my brain and my heart now because of having been exposed to that book. One of my favorite and most impactful Peter Kreeft books has been, and not just the apologetics books, which are they were really helpful for me, still are, but Christianity for Modern Pagans, which is
about Pascal.
Pascal, yeah. And when I read through that, I remember it was, this is a framework that, again, is just, I look back and think this is foundational for me. His walking through Pascal's Pensée, that is so critical. What other books?
What about because I agree, I could probably come up with a bunch like Wild at Heart, Rome Sweet Home, I Believe in Love, and then the writings of Thomas Aquinas, and then Francis de Sales' Introduction to the Devout Life, Imitation of Christ. What about a book specifically about the spiritual life? And how about this? Because it's too much pressure to say the favorite.
Yeah.
Just one that comes to mind.
You had mentioned the Jacques Philippe book, and there's another book that in my head exists side by side, and it's called.
What color is it?
It's green.
Is his book?
It's no. It's by I think he's German, but it is. It's on providence. It's on God's will. It might be called "Thy Will Be Done." It might be called, but
I'm thinking of Uniformity with God's Will by Alfonso de la Igori. Is that it? But no, that's not.
That's not the one I'm thinking of. Shoot.
Anyway, guys, it was great. It would totally change your life. If you guys, amazing. If you knew of it, you would love it.
Okay, how about this one? Okay, the author he was a British Benedictine monk, and you know exactly who he is. His name is
British Benedictine.
And
no, I don't know who that is.
But he was originally published as, Holiness for Beginners. Now it's titled Holiness for Beginners.
Okay.
And, oh my gosh.
Anyway, guys, this is another book that would blow your...
But that was one of the ones that was first assigned to me by my spiritual director. Yeah. And Hubert von Zeller.
No idea.
So Holiness for Beginners, Hubert von Zeller.
Great.
And it really, it redefined what holiness is for me. So that's foundational as well. So I'd say if it's one that I can remember the title of, Holiness for Beginners by Dom Hubert von Zeller.
Very good.
Yep.
We have some questions from some of our members. Michael wants to know, what's your bench personal record?
Well, I can't. This
No, personal record.
broken wing.
Yeah.
315.
315.
Middle 3 plates.
Come on. Crystal says, what to do or how to handle when someone you look up to in the faith walks away from their vocation, a priest who leaves the priesthood, a married couple who divorces, etc.
What do you do?
Yeah. How do you handle that?
I think it's okay to grieve. Yeah, I would say it's okay to grieve and not to be indifferent to that. I think there's something worthwhile where it's just, to let your heart be broken by that, because that's not God's will for their lives. There doesn't even need to be a judgment that comes along with that grief, but there's just that awareness of, okay, there's whatever's happening here, God can still work with this, but it is worth grieving.
It's heartbreaking sometimes because it feels like certain relationships or individuals, they feel like they help you, they're like gravity. Mm-hmm. They help you stay grounded. And when they fall apart, you're like, that feeling of, well, what else is going to fall apart?
Yeah.
We began this conversation, you were talking about the cause of anxiety being, what did you say?
When I perceive that the pain of the future is more than my ability.
Not the definition. You said something like things are so changing and keep coming and going. And here's the question. We're seeing a lot of divorce, obviously. Do you think I think we're also going to be seeing more priests walking away from the priesthood, more nuns? Just this transitory culture where being able to commit to other people seems like an increasingly foreign idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
With going back to that question, I would say, I really do think there's a piece of grieving the loss, the whatever that is. At the same time, I know that my faith doesn't rely on someone else's faithfulness. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't even rely on my faithfulness in some ways.
Yeah.
That sense of just like, no, this is all comes back to the Lord. And there's a truth about this that says, hey, I can grieve this and not say, I'm not being different to it. Cause it happens to everybody kind of thing, as opposed to, okay, I understand the human condition. I also understand that God can still work in this. Mm-hmm. Also, there are some people that I know in both those situations who have walked away from the priesthood or in divorces where the story that people on the outside know is not the same as the story on the inside. And it's like, okay, so there are...
I've seen that too, where people have been convinced that this guy abandoned or did this and that wasn't the way.
Yeah, and so in that too, I just realized there's so much I don't know. Yeah. And so, man, I just have to give grace. But I think that the question is, what do you do? I think you let your heart be broken by things that break your heart, and then...
Joe Ward says, what do you say to the criticism that priests can't give good marriage or parenting advice because you're not married?
Yeah. I would say that to a certain extent, that's not inaccurate. I think that there are people who, maybe priests, who might not have that might not be one of their skills or one of their areas of knowledge. That could be very well the case. Mm-hmm. I venture to say that I believe I have something to offer couples in preparation, at least, because I've seen so many of them and seen the dynamic in so many different relationships that it's not just, if here's Joe married to Mary, Joe would have that frame of reference of, well, in my marriage, we do this. Yeah, but that's only, I don't know, it's a limited criticism because of the fact that, okay, here's Joe who's going to give marriage advice. What's his experience? Well, he's experienced with one marriage. And so...
That's a good point.
Is that going to apply to his advice to so-and-so, some other couple? It might, but it's also going to be limited.
Yeah.
So if we know that every person we're approaching for some kind of counsel or advice is going to be limited by their own experience.
Just because you can't relate to someone's experience doesn't mean you can't counsel them.
Or haven't lived that experience.
Well, I mean, as a priest, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what people often mean. Like, well, what would he know? What they mean is you can't sympathize with what I'm going through in this specific situation. But I think, I don't know who it was who said you don't have to be a horse to be a veterinarian.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, and there's also like, I think the human experience is one of, okay, here's conflict, here is sadness, here's grief, here's frustration, here's the temptation towards resentment, here's the need to be patient when I'm being stretched out of my comfort, all those kind of things. I think that if a person is attentive to relationships and is trying to learn, so I'm always trying to learn from relationship expert people. Yeah. Dr. John Gottman is one example of a person who I just think has got a wealth of experience, and I try to bring forward these things in our marriage prep times. But but having never been married, I don't know what I don't know.
Mark L says, what exactly is going on with the Pope? He seemed great at first. Then there was a mass in the Vatican which featured a rainbow pride cross. I'm confused.
Yeah, well.
First of all, like, why does the Pope have to be great? We pray that he will be great. We encourage him to be great, but I don't know. What do you think?
Whoa. I went nuts. I almost knocked over to my coffee and this microphone. Okay, so what did I say? I saw the cross, the rainbow cross.
It's horrible.
And I thought, it is highly likely that he had no idea what was going to be in this procession. The number of times where something happened, I think you're the Pope, for Pete's sake. Like, that sense of, did they run every idea by you? Or just say, okay, you're going to come in, you're going to sit over there, and then we're going to have this event, whatever the thing is. Yeah. So very, very likely that he had no idea. Secondly, you mentioned he doesn't have to be great. There was an article maybe like a month and a half ago, that was, I think it was posted on The Pillar, and it had something along the lines of, Pope Leo has made as few public appearances as is humanly possible by any pope, or something like that. Where
so it's a welcome change.
Yeah, I just thought, even this morning I got out of bed and I was praying, and I thought, yeah, because I was praying for the Pope, and I thought about that same idea that he hasn't really thrown any gasoline on any fires. He's just kind of, and I think about this, and I think about, what is the role of the Holy Father? If you go back to Isaiah, he's that peg set in a sure place upon which the whole weight of the Father's house rests, right? So that peg in a sure place, he's a unifier. And so we're meant to be unifier. That role is a unifying role. And so it makes sense that he hasn't, thrown gasoline on any fires or caused a ton of division. That's why I would want to fill the gap with trust. If like, oh, here's a cross with a rainbow flag, whatever, a rainbow on it, that it is possible that he had nothing to do with that and doesn't need to make a statement afterwards, because the church's teaching is the church's teaching. And just because you want me to make a statement on something doesn't mean I have to. Clarify the church's teaching. Okay, see the catechism, or see other statements I've had that talk about marriages between one man and one woman. What? I don't know. Sometimes when people say, "Hey, you should say something about this," I'm like, "No, don't. You can't make me comment on something if I don't want to. You can check my record. I don't know. Yeah. I could get ramped up about that kind of thing."
No, fair enough. Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Cheryl Lynn says, do you get a lot of pushback about your tattoo and the video talking about it, and how do you answer it? I have seen some who argue that all tattoos have an element of the demonic. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Why do they make that argument?
Great question.
I'm sure you've thought about it.
Well, so I because people have shared with me a clip where a good, very, very good, and I've heard that he is one of the most...
Who are you talking about?
I don't know. He doesn't mention me by name, so maybe I shouldn't mention him by name.
Oh, sure.
But he says, very popular priest online kind of a thing, has a tattoo and videos talking about his tattoo. I'm not going to say his name. And so I was like, okay.
Someone's talking about you, but didn't mention you by name. Yeah. Gotcha.
And so I'm like, if he was kind enough to not mention me by name, I won't mention him by name. But I have heard that he is a fantastic exorcist, and who has, an exorcist I know has said that he is one of the most systematic and intelligent, like really, really wise exorcists. And he, in a video, comments on me having a tattoo and talks about how it makes reference to there being some kind of aspect in every tattoo of something demonic. And so I received that as okay, I don't know, because I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know why that would be the case. But I'm not going to argue in the sense that here's someone who knows more than me. So I would say that I think tattoos are largely unattractive, and I don't recommend anyone getting them.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that they're permissible. I have one, but I think they're cringe and everyone should stop because we've gone way too far.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw
saw this meme and it said nobody, and then every 30-year-old woman just floral arm tats. It's like, we've got to stop. I really think Gen Alpha will find them cringe.
Probably.
Because we've really, really overdone them. I mean, you haven't. You have the one.
Yeah. If anyone asks my opinion, which they don't need to, I think tattoos are largely unattractive. And I said it in the first video I made on tattoos, where I quoted Kim Kardashian, who doesn't have any tattoos, and they asked her why, and she said, "You've never seen a bumper sticker on a Bentley." And I think that...
You're like, that's fine, you're a Bentley, but I am a rundown.
But that's what I say. It's like, I think I've never seen a tattoo that has made someone more attractive.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Just my opinion,
yeah.
if you're asking.
Yeah,
and
I
don't. In the question about the demonic part, again, I defer to people who are wiser than me. I don't know anything about that, but I'm open. I'm teachable.
USA F. Smith says, worst video Father Mike put out and why? And he says, to be clear, I love the man. But what's the worst video you've put out? Or maybe one that you put out and then subsequently go,
Well, so interestingly, the first time they ever filmed in the living room, a videographer came up to Duluth and said, okay, this is the camera setup. How about this? Hey, just do a trial video. And there was a producer at Ascension, his name is Chris Cope.
Yeah.
And Chris, I think he went to college on a golf scholarship. So they said, we always make fun of him for golf. Could you say something, just pretend like you're making a video, but just say something, kind of razz him for golf. And so I had something in the chamber. I was ready to go. And so I made this video and sent it was just supposed to be for Chris. And somewhere in, I think, the first year or two, someone said, hey, let's publish that one. And where I say, like, golf's not a sport, this whole kind of thing. And people still can find it, and I will still get people who are angry at me and I was just privately razzing.
And you had no idea they were going to publicize that.
Yeah, and I don't care that they do, because I have my,
And do you agree with what you said about golf?
Well, so I was at a golf tournament at the end of the summer, and they were like, okay, we want to have a dinner where you give a talk to the players. And at one point I said something along the lines of, oh yeah, I think tonight I'm supposed to meet the athletes. I mean, not the athletes. They're golfers. They're the players. And again, just a joke. Just like I wouldn't call NASCAR drivers athletes, although what they do is physically taxing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily call ping pong players athletes, although what they do is demands a lot of physical skill. And I don't know if I'd call golfers athletes, even though what they do requires a lot of physical skill.
I love when people...
But I only say that for humor purposes.
Okay.
I only say that for humor purposes.
I love when people are into stuff.
Yeah.
I love when people are really into a thing. I like getting caught up in the thing that they're really into. So when I was at Catholic Answers, Jimmy Aiken was really into comic books.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was, but
you're right next to a comic book store.
Yeah. You should check it out.
Well,
it's good.
I might.
People are going to piece together where we are. I mean, there's the coffee cup, there's the comic book store. We're going to need full-time...
there is. Yeah. I didn't even see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I want to get it. I want to know why you're super into this thing. Even if I don't like it, I will like that you like it.
Yeah.
I've tried getting into golf. I like the idea of it. I hate it so much.
Yeah. I
no doubt because I'm so bad at it.
I've regularly said that my parents had a magnet on the fridge that said, golf is a wonderful walk spoiled by a little white ball.
Okay.
And yeah, the last time I went golfing, I didn't golf. My family would, they would go to mass, we'd have, brunch at the house. And then occasionally it would be, who wants to go golfing? There was this really cheap golf course right down the road from us.
Yeah.
Like $9 for 9 holes. It was amazing. And the last time I said, well, I'll go, but I'm not going to play. I'll just walk with you guys. And my mom said, she's like, no, you have to play or else you can't go. And I said, well, I'm not going to go. And then she capitulated and I got to go. And so I'm walking and I'm having a great day. It was sunny out. It was beautiful. I was at peace. I got to walk with my family. The 8th hole, second to last hole, you only played 9. I said, well, just let me a driver. I want to just drive off the tee. Lined up, hit the ball, immediate, like just huge slice. Instant rage. Like just and I'm like, I'm not playing. There is no reason why I shouldn't have sliced. It doesn't even matter that it's sliced. I'm going to go pick the ball up anyways. And I was like, that's why I can't play. Yeah. So it's not a matter of the game being bad. It's a matter of me and my own broken heart.
I think it was Mark Twain who said a good walk spoiled.
Yeah, that must be it.
I love that. So I don't know if it was Twain or not, but I think it was a good walk spoiled. Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel that way about sport too. I could never see myself getting into sport. I love that people are into it. I think it's a beautiful activity that brings people together. But
when you say sport, what do you mean?
Any sport.
Oh, any sport. Okay, yeah. Like cheering for sports.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not playing them, watching them.
Yeah.
So if you said to me, Matt, there's an NBA game on tonight, I'm pumped. You want to come watch it? I don't know if I would because it's kind of getting late. But usually I'd be like, yeah, I'd love that. Or even if someone said, we're getting up at 3 a.m. to watch this soccer game, and people, if they were excited, I will want to join them.
Yeah.
But I can't bring myself to watch sport on my own.
A couple weeks ago, Sunday night mass, I got a text from one of the priests living in the church rectory and said, hey, after mass, a bunch of people are watching WWE if you want to come over. And they've asked before and I've never gone. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, sure. So I went over afterwards and they had a bunch of people in this space and they go to the arena. Like that's the kind of folks, they actually go
the
go
level
there.
We're dealing with.
And I walked in right as Logan Paul and John Cena were going to have like the main event for the night. And I sat down in 30 minutes. I was like, this is awesome. These big fans were like talking and they were hardly watching the match. But I was just fixated. Wow, did you see that? And they're like, oh yeah, that's how they do it. And then when 30 minutes were over, I'm like, well, I'm done. I don't have to do that again. But it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
The people they were going nuts.
Yeah, my sister's really into it. She took me to one of these not off Broadway, but off whatever.
Yeah, like local
ones. So it was really impressive how they.
Oh, I was
the ability.
John Cena is 3 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And he's still doing all this stuff. Logan Paul, even, who would just think, wait, Logan Paul? The number of times he did some kind of flip off the top rope and landed on John Cena or vice versa, I just thought, that is insane. I know it's
but it's
staged.
Not. It's fake, but it's not. I mean, the stuff they're
it's
doing.
It's staged, but it's not. I mean, what they're really flipping through the air. They're really landing. I just thought, that is, very physical.
Final question. You raised money on Hallow recently for your upcoming project. Someone wants to know how much you raised and tell us more about what it is you're doing, since apparently I don't know much about it.
Well, we've been, as I mentioned, I've been on campus for 21 years. It's my 21st year. And we've been, all of our, you came up.
Yep.
All of our stuff's out of that little house. Mm-hmm. We have the 2-car garage. That's our daily mass chapel. And then we go on campus for Sunday mass. And since COVID, we go down the road for Sunday evening mass at a church. But there's a long story to it. But during COVID, we've been looking for land to maybe, God willing, we could build an actual church, actual student center someday. And no, there's no land anywhere. There was one man who had been collecting a lot of properties on our block because he wanted to build a big apartment building with retail on the ground floor. And he had asked, he said, hey, if you sell me your house, you can have as big a space in my building as you want. It was just really generous of him, but I'm like, we should probably have our own building, that kind of thing. And so during COVID, I found out he moved to Florida, and we didn't have a bishop for like a year and a half. Somewhere during this, I reached out and said, hey, I heard you moved to Florida. I'm not sure if you're still interested in that project, but if you're not, we'd love to buy some properties from you if we can. And back and forth. The day we got a bishop, he reached out and said, talk to my business partner. We don't want to sell off any properties, but we will sell you the entire block for the X amount of money. It's like, oh my gosh. So I went to my bishop's ordination. Afterwards, I met him there and sent him an email saying, dear Bishop, congratulations on your ordination.
Anyway.
Let me tell you a story. Yeah. And told him the whole thing. And he was like, let's go. And so we ended up buying the whole block. And for the last 2 years, we've been trying to raise money to be able to build our own chapel and student center. And it's been, the people have been so incredibly generous.
Wow.
So we have, the two co-chairs of the campaign are Alex Jones from Hallow and Jonathan Strait from Ascension.
Yeah, wow.
These people they've been so helpful to us and to get the word out. And so at one point, Alex said, well, they as a company had committed $1 million to the project. And so they had a bunch of people on their team create this function in the app where if someone wanted to, they could donate through the app and Hallow would match to $1 million. So through that giving, I think they raised $2.8 million.
Oh my goodness.
For the project, which is incredible.
Alex is going to give 2.8 as well, I hope.
So, well, they match up to $1 million. So it was,
that's incredible.
They raised 1.8 and they match to $1 million. So we have enough to build the building now. So 30 million, we have 30 million that people have donated, which it's insane. It's incredible. So generous. But we also know this. We also know that we could build a church, a student center, and then in 25 years, things need to be replaced, roofs, boilers, all these kind of things. There's actually a statistic that says that you're going to need, for whatever price you paid to build the building, you need 3% of that every single year just to maintain the building. Yeah. And so what we're doing now is we're on the second half of the project, which is funding the building. So we're paying for the building, but also want to fund the ministry. So the initiation or the initiative right now is to raise $20 million for an endowment that would be able to keep the ministry in existence in perpetuity. And so that sense of being able to say, okay, if we do this now, there will always be a place where college students in Duluth will have a place where they, our motto is we want a place where people are seen, known, and loved. Not only seen, known, and loved by each other, but know that the Lord sees and knows and loves them. Because that's the plight, right? The reality of college students is you leave wherever you were raised, where people actually care about you and know who you are. You go to a place where no one knows you, no one cares about you, no one loves you. And so to create a place where it's a home away from home, where here at least, even if in the hallways you're walking through and just like you're invisible, this is the place where you're seen, known, and loved. And so we want to be able to, the next priest and the priest after me and the priest after him will not have to travel the country like I've been doing for the last 2.5, 3 years and trying to raise money, but just like they could just be home and be a spiritual father to those students on campus. And so it's a big project, obviously, but that's what we're doing.
Where do people go to donate?
Bulldogcatholic.org.
Bulldog Catholic.
Yeah, so UMD, the mascot is the Bulldogs. Yeah. And so we're bulldogcatholic.org. And then there's like a video that tells the whole story. And even that, it's been remarkable. The amount, have been overwhelmed by generosity by people. For example, not only people who have said, hey, I've never been to Duluth, but I believe in this project. And so I want to, support it. But also the videos we have were done for free. So there's a man named Benedict. Benedict is a freelance videographer guy who, makes videos and things, but he had come up to Duluth. His wife works for Ascension and got a bunch of footage and then took the time to I'll do this for you guys. He just made this incredible video.
Well, you have been I know it's awkward to say it in front of you, but you have been such a blessing to so many folks. I'm sure people are just honored that they can give back
Well, I think so. I mean, I think in some ways that seems to be the case. That sense of people saying, this was a real help for me or for my family. Yeah. And so thank you. But, sometimes you could just say thank you for people being so sacrificial in financially or praying for us. That's been a necessity because it's a big project, and it's kind of my hope and my prayer is that this is the last 11-month push, and within the next 11 months we'll be fully funded, which would be a huge gift because then I get to stay home and be with the students. Will
the church look like a Pizza Hut?
I'm thinking more Costco.
Okay, great. Please make it be beautiful.
No, that's the intention. Is that it's. That's why it costs so much. Like, why does it cost so much? Well, because
do you want it beautiful or not?
It needs to be beautiful, and so that's the.
Yeah. And you have a new podcast.
Yeah. So we partnered up with this group called the Catholic Initiative, who are one of they're. This is really, I think it's pretty remarkable because I've been so convicted for many years, ever since I was 16, on Matthew 25, on the spiritual or corporal works of mercy. That sense of I was hungry and you fed me, I was naked and you clothed me. And I just think, man, what are we doing? What am I doing? Am I doing this? And I know that in some areas, like I'm trying to do what I can, but we just feel so limited. One of the things we're doing, so Catholic Initiative, their mission is there are so many fruitful ministries in the church that aren't able to do the work that they're called to do because they're having to fundraise.
Yeah.
So here is a basilica in Detroit that is a thriving parish, but it's falling down. It's the second oldest basilica, working basilica in the country. I think only to St. Augustine of Florida. But they're in a population that could never afford to renovate this basilica. And so they're like, okay, well, how can we help that? And it's not just a church that needs to be abandoned. It is a thriving parish that can't afford this. There's a girls' high school in Chicago that is doing incredible work, but they can't afford this. And here we are, we're the third project. And here we are, this campus ministry in Duluth that we're bearing fruit, but we need to afford this. And so they partnered with us and the other ministries in their vetting and praying about how they can help. And so this podcast it's kind of drawing attention to the work of Catholic Initiative, but it also is highlighting the fact that there are people among us who are ordinary people who are living out the corporal works of mercy. And so I've been able to try to do what you do, which is really hard on your side. It's easy when you have questions and you can ask me questions and I go, oh, here's what I think about this. To come up with the questions, I'm like, this is a muscle that I've not
you're
flexed.
Interviewing people.
I'm doing interviews of people who are, so I got to interview Father John Ricardo on just healing the brokenhearted. He's an incredible guy. Lou Holt, got to talk to him about raising the young and just saying, how do you form the young? There are a couple more people that are coming on the pipeline. There's incredible stories of how are you being the hands and feet, the face and heart of Jesus in the world. And so the podcast is entitled Called, and just conversations with people. Again, I don't know how to do what you do very well.
Just talking. So it's called Called, and it's with Ascension.
Yeah. So Catholic Initiative is they partner with Ascension because Ascension, know how to do the digital stuff pretty well.
Gosh, I'm so excited to learn how many people must have learned how to pray the Holy Rosary or are praying it now because of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Father Mark Mary.
Yeah.
What a guy.
I just keep thinking because the Bible in the ear and the Rosary in the ear. Some people are asking, what is actually people are like, I bet you're jealous of Father Mark Mary. I'm like, okay, here's what I think. I think the Bible in the ear taught people how to listen to God's voice, how to hear God talking to them. I think the Rosary in the ear is teaching people how to speak to God. So the first is how to hear God speak to us. And the Rosary in the ear, I think, is teaching so many people how to pray.
Has it maintained its...
I don't know.
I hope so.
I think it's doing really well still.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, regardless, think of all the people who are praying because of Father Mark Mary.
Yeah.
Just they are raising their eyes.
I love the Friars of the Renewal.
Yeah.
All right. So the bishop comes to you tomorrow. God comes to you tomorrow. And he says, all right, I want you to join a religious order. Who would you join?
That's a good question.
And you have to pick one, God says, and you're not allowed to question me about any details.
So I go one of two ways.
No, he only gave you one option.
No, I go the one is cloistered and just go away.
Yeah.
And just be away, which is very attractive, very compelling.
You're like, very attractive. Oh gosh, that would be very.
It is. That's so attractive. The other would be, SOLT or CFRs.
Yeah, the CFRs. That's a beautiful order, isn't it?
Yeah, and both. They're kind of like the Rangers and the Green Berets. They're like the special ops of the church, I think. The CFRs and SOLT.
Not that anyone's asked me, but I think I'd like to join the Wyoming. What's that traditional Carmelite order in Wyoming?
I don't know.
Well, it's that one. So that sounds.
Is that what it'd be? Yeah. Cloistered?
Yeah, but see, we can't have you cloistered. This is what John Paul II, remember? He tried to join the Carmelites, like, we need your voice. Get back out there. That's what they'd say to you. Thank you very much. I do not like traveling at all. And so thank you for going through all of that to be here.
No, it's wonderful. It's actually, this has been a long time coming because.
Yeah, thanks. You were kind enough to come back on that show brilliantly titled The Matt Fradd Show. I think it was called.
Was that what was it called then? Was Matt Fradd the show
I
back
think
then?
so.
Was it Pints?
I don't want to talk about it. It makes me uncomfortable.
Wait, is it the same?
It's the same. We merged them because it was too hard spinning two plates.
Yeah. No, I every time you've asked, I'm like, I want to, but I look at the calendar and I'm like, there's no way to be able to do it.
I get it. All right. God bless you. Thank you.
Too. God bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Everyone listening.